Warning, incoming dad joke. Warning, incoming dad joke.
Hey, Mark.
Yes, Derek.
What do Santa's little helpers learn at school?
I don't know. What?
The alphabet.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
It looks like a pink nightmare. Christmas has a Yule log. Not a log. I don't have a log. It's Father's Day.
All that I have, all that I've learned, everything I feel, all this and more, I bequeath you, my son.
Your father was Frankenstein, and your mother was the lightning.
We named the dog Indiana.
I am the father.
The alphabet. Hello and welcome to another thrilling episode of Three Geeky Dads, the show that, much like time travel, is often confusing and just as obnoxious and inaccurate. I was, have been, and always will be Mark, and joining me are the Shermans to my Peabody.
Quiet, you.
You Peabody?
What are your names?
Oh, yeah, I'm Derek.
I'm Brian.
And what adventure would be complete without the one guy who always brings the best one-liners? We don't have that, but we do have our own Rocky IV, Tito.
Oh.
Rocky the Flying
I gave
Four.
you a good
one.
movie.
That's a good one.
Christmas comes early for you, doesn't it?
Very good movie. It takes place during Christmas, so it's fitting.
There you go.
They fight on Christmas Day. You're clearly a fan of the movie. All right. All right. Rocky IV.
Meant to be a joke, but Tito decided to just dive a little further in there. Thank you, Tito, as always. Well, the requests continue to come for our holiday season episodes where we, the dads, talk about movies you, the listeners, everybody got that, have asked us to do. Some 5 years ago and some last month. Well, 'tis the season, because as we slowly make our way into December, we are continuing to give back to those who stuck with us through the good times, the bad times, and the ugly times.
And you know who you are.
Yeah. This week we are talking about a movie that was requested to us by Entertainment Rants' own Marco Mazzola. He asked us to review Time Bandits, the Terry Gilliam time-traveling adventure. So we, of course, will honor him by talking about Tango and Cash. I'm just kidding. But before we hop into our Wayback Machine and travel into a world of dwarves, ogres, and Shelley Duvall's face, seriously, she's like a lollipop who looked at the Ark of the Covenant and never recovered. Our own Brian Ramen Noodles Ramsey has prepared a yummy appetizer to start us off. Brian,
Thank you,
take it
Mark.
away, sir.
Every family has a kid who won't eat. My kid brother had not eaten voluntarily in over 3 years.
Randy, don't play with your food. Eat it. Starving people would be happy to have that.
So as Mark mentioned, tonight we're going to be looking at the 1981 movie Time Bandits, an adventure comedy that has the titular bandits jumping through holes in the fabric of time and space to rob and hopefully get rich before they're discovered. Time travel in movies is not a new concept, with George Pal's famous adaptation of H.G. Wells' The Time Machine being a prime early example of the genre done right, and many more time travel movies has followed in its wake to varying degrees of success. So with that said, and before we get into the main course, we Geeky Dads decided we'd take a look at some of our other favorite time travel movies.
Rock and roll. So
Damn, there's only 3 Back to the Futures.
There you go.
We're going to double up? Are we doubling up?
Hopefully we got runners up here, people, because I have a feeling there might be a little bit of overlap.
We started with Brian last week, so Tito.
All right. So perfect. So I don't have to go with my runner-up. Mine is Predestination.
Ooh.
It's with Ethan Hawke, Sarah Snook, Noah, what's this gentleman's name?
Hathaway?
Noah Taylor, I believe.
Atreyu.
Oh, Predestined. Okay, I don't think this is the one that
I don't think I've seen this one either.
So it's
No, not.
it's hard for me to explain it without giving the entire movie away and taking up the entirety of this episode.
Okay.
But essentially, it's a guy goes back and he's trying to stop a bomber, and he works for this organization that travels through time and tries to stop these huge events from happening. And
a time cop of sorts?
yeah, sort of. It's sort of a time cop.
Nice.
And is hurt in the process and is is about to retire and gets one last job. He goes back in time to meet this writer.
Is he getting too old for this shit?
You know what? He does get a little too old for this shit in this
But then
movie.
he gets younger, right?
Yeah.
He gets younger as he gets older. And essentially it's the story of this person that he meets who is a writer and their story and how it all connects. Really, honestly, I'd have to tell you exactly what happened, but I think it's probably one of the best. I love time travel movies because I love to try to pick them apart. And I'm sure there's plenty to pick apart in this movie, but it's one of the best movies I've seen in regards to like, oh, if you made it a continuous loop, then it all kind of works. Right? So there's this paradox and the idea of predestination and what it means. Like, all of these things are supposed to have happened, so they have to happen, and they do, over and over and over again. And one can't happen without the next, right? So he can't get to the point where he's at unless he goes through the entirety of the. So it starts at the end. Essentially, it starts at the end of the movie. It's very Usual Suspects, right? It starts at the end. You don't see the guy's face. It ends at the end, at the beginning, and you kind of see where it all, how it's all connected and how it's real fucked up and interesting. Predestination, though, it came out in like 2014. The guys who did this did, I don't know if you ever saw Daybreakers, the Ethan Hawke vampire movie.
Oh, yeah.
They like have the
Once.
cure or whatever.
Yep.
Like, I saw this a couple of years ago and I absolutely fucking loved it.
Huh.
And I watch it every once in a while.
Do you know if it's streaming on anything, Tito?
It may be.
Is it available for sale on Vudu?
That's certainly a possibility.
Yeah. Tito's recommendations are usually very good. So.
I kind of stumbled upon this one looking for, I think I was just like searching time travel movies one day and kind of just happened upon it. Yeah, it's on like YouTube, Amazon Prime, so it's rentable.
There you go.
So I imagine it's purchasable, if that's a word. Predestination.
Reasonably priced, too.
And that was one of those movies where I was like, oh, I always forget that I like Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Every time I see him, I'm like, oh, I like Ethan Hawke.
Like if you brought up in conversation, I'd be like, yeah, I don't really think I like him.
Yeah.
And I'd see a movie with him. I'd be like, oh yeah, I like
Yeah,
him.
I like Ethan Hawke. But that's my guy.
Nice.
All right, cool. I had a couple to choose from, but if we're gonna go with one, outside of Back to the Future, I got a lot here. I'm gonna have to pick Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home.
Good choice. Good
Because
choice.
I don't know if
it
I've ever
is-
seen that one.
It is a whimsical adventure
With
and the time travel
whales.
with whales, and it's not too complex, which is good because I am not a huge time travel fan.
Oh, the one with the whales.
The one with the
I just
whales.
know that it's the one with the whales. I
It
don't
is
think I've
the
ever
one with the
seen
whales.
it.
It's not the only one with time travel though.
No,
No.
First
No.
Contact is
Yep.
it's a toss up between
Generations.
Oh, is First Contact the one where Kirk,
Generations.
That's right, Generations
where they
too
go
has
back
time
in
travel.
where they meet each other, right?
Yeah.
No, First Contact is when they is when they go back and meet
Borg.
the guy who invented
Warp Drive.
Warp Drive.
Sephram Cochrane.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That
Which is
guy.
the one where Picard and Kirk meet?
That's
That's
Generations.
That's
Generations.
Generations? Okay,
And
that makes
that's
sense.
time travel. That's also Nexus
Yeah.
traveling. It's slightly different.
Well, actually, the Nexus is more of a time continuum.
But time travel movies drive me nuts. I'm too stupid to figure them out. I don't like
what's
using
so fun
my
about
brain.
them.
It
Yeah.
makes my head hurt. So,
That's the fun of it.
but there were more on my list than I thought there would be. So I guess I do like time travel a little more than I thought. But if anybody comes up to me and is like, "Oh, it's a time travel movie," usually I'm like, "No, I ain't not gonna, that's too smart for me." Me fail English.
Yeah.
If I'm going back,
That's
to,
impossible.
And if I'm going back to the
Mikey
future,
like horror. Marky like horror.
Marky like wingy, and her. If I'm going back to the future, because I feel like that's everybody's go-to, I'm actually a fan of Part 2. Because you
I think
get
two's
to-
the best one.
I think
you-
two's the best one,
and,
too.
Josh Hurst had
Part as
said
well.
this to me once, and he said the reason it's great is because you get the best of both worlds. You get to go back,
You get part one and part
live
two.
every one
Yeah,
over
you-
again.
Yeah.
You go to all these different time periods. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
See, I'm a fan of number 3.
Well, I like
you were
three.
saying
I
that.
do.
No,
I like
three's
number three.
fine. No,
Yeah.
it's
You like
fine.
three.
I like 3 too.
Yeah, but that's only one time.
3 has
period.
ZZ
Yeah.
Top.
It does.
Yeah, it does.
Weather experiment. So that's mine. I got some runners up, but I'll wait. Derek?
Mine is not a smart one, but just a fun, just good old plain fashion fun time travel. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Oh,
good
great
choice.
movie.
It's I love
one of
that
my
they-
runners-up.
they-
That I
you know,
like.
The fact that they go to so many different times, you put all these characters from those time periods
Mm-hmm.
together, and especially like towards the end when they all come to the future and they're in the mall.
Yeah.
It's like one of the greatest 80s montages
Oh,
that
yeah.
there's ever been.
Yeah, to help Bill and Ted pass their history exam.
Right, exactly. I mean, like the whole like story behind it is just goofy as fuck, but it's so much fun.
Dude,
And,
the scene where they're trying to break him out of prison, I absolutely love because he's like, "Don't forget,
Yeah.
we're gonna go back and we're gonna put a garbage can and it's gonna land
Right
now."
here.
And then the garbage can falls from the sky. I
And
love
it's
that
got
whole
wild
thing.
stallions written on the garbage can even.
Don't forget to steal your dad's keys. I did steal my dad's keys. You're like, oh, this is amazing.
Why don't we leave them over there behind that bush? Yeah, that was clever.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that for the first time too and being like, oh my God, that's great.
it's so much fun.
Yeah, it is a fun movie.
And I love like
That is a good
when
one.
I love in time travel movies when like the people that are already on the time travel voyage show up to where the start of the voyage began.
yeah.
So like you know in
they
the
meet
beginning
themselves.
you see,
Yep.
oh it's past us and
Yeah.
don't forget to wind your clock.
Yeah.
69,
Yeah.
dude.
How come we ended up here instead of back where we started? You have to dial one number higher.
That's that awesome. That's predestination, right? They're
Yeah.
always gonna fuck up forever.
Say
They will
hello,
forever
say
forget.
hello to the princesses
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.
You'll see.
And the amount of cameos in that movie is
Oh,
great.
it's fantastic.
From George Carlin
Yep.
all the way up to like the most famous people or the coolest people in the world from the future.
Yes.
You know, it's like, you know, guys that were like really popular
Oh, you
musicians
got
from the 80s. You
fucking
got
Clarence Clemens.
Clarence
from,
Clemens. You got
the
Fee
E Street
Waybill from the
Band.
Tubes, and you got Martha, whatever her name was, from the Motels.
From the motels. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Jane Whelan?
Jane Wheadland
Jane
was
Whelan
the was Joan of Arc,
Yep.
who was not Noah's wife.
Who's not Noah's Also,
That was one of the best lines I remember
know.
when I saw
That's
that. I
funny
was
'cause
like, that is so good.
I love, the idea of Napoleon being like a terrible person, which he was.
Yeah.
But in this movie and in Time Bandits,
Yeah.
just a fucking
Yeah,
dumpski,
goofball.
like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
the biggest
Ziggy
idiot.
Piggy, Ziggy
Yeah.
Piggy.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
the biggest
I
idiot.
will make a water slide.
Tesla.
Yeah, Waterloo.
Buddy. You pay, buddy?
He's like
Buddy?
he's like a kid in both movies.
Take on! Take on! I'm going to watch that tonight.
Yeah, it's a
Let's
great
see
movie.
that.
Great movie.
Maybe we'll watch that after we're done
There you go.
recording.
The water slide scene's awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good choice, Derek.
Thank you.
Brian.
So I'm going with Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat.
Man, that's a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah, the Tom Cruise movie from, I forget what year it came out. About, what, 5 years ago, maybe? 7 years ago?
That might be longer.
Yeah,
than
it's
that.
one of
Yeah.
those things that like it feels like it was yesterday.
You
but
might
it's
be
not.
right. I didn't write down the year, but
2016,
it's
something like
yeah,
that.
it's fairly
I
recent.
think 15 or 16. yeah.
But what a great movie! It kind of like taps into that whole Groundhog Day thing where he has to relive the same day over
Yeah.
and over. And what's great about this movie too,
14.
it
wow.
was 14. Wow,
Jesus, really?
8 years ago. We're coming up. Wow, shit, that was longer than I
Time
thought.
flies.
Yeah, time's a bitch. But the thing that's cool about this movie is he's an out and out coward in this movie.
Yeah.
He does not want to be where he is. He does not want to be doing what he's doing. He's actually trying to escape his fate from the very beginning, but he gets roped into this whole thing. He gets shoved in with this battalion, and he ends up having to relive the same day over and over because he shows up at this battle against these alien forces, and he gets splattered with alien goo. And it was the right alien at the right time, and he was able to reset the day, they call it. So like every time he dies, the day starts over from the beginning, and he gets to progress a little bit further and further in the day, learning from his mistakes and how to survive a little bit further. And I don't know how long it goes on.
Yeah, right. You never find out.
Yeah,
Which is really
but he
good.
meets Emily Blunt's character, who's a freaking badass in that movie.
It's great.
Yeah, it's just awesome. Even down to the little cameo from Bill Paxton as the drill sergeant.
Yeah.
You know, it's just perfect. Perfect. And if you love watching Tom Cruise die over and over and over, then this movie is absolutely for you.
It's Katie Holmes' favorite movie.
Yeah.
They do a really
No, I
good
love
job
this
of
one.
the replaying the same day, but it always
Yeah.
feels different each
It
time
does.
you see it.
Yeah, it's
Even
fresh.
the first, like, he
Because they're
lands
trying
at
to
the
get
same spot. and
right,
it's like,
but
oh,
but then he tries to change it a little bit so he can survive a little bit more before the day resets again and he has to
Never.
start all over again.
It
So
doesn't get
essentially, it's
stale.
Happy Death Day.
Kind of, yeah.
Oh, I like
yeah.
that's a good one too. I like that one.
Yep.
Although the end of this movie is a little dicey for me. Like I like the way it ends, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
make
it's not as
sense.
satisfying as the rest
It
of the
doesn't
movie.
make
I
sense
agree.
to me.
Yeah.
How that.
That's what Katie says about Tom.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, then
could
she
never
shouldn't have
satisfy
signed
in
the
the end.
contract,
Right. Right.
Just because somebody puts a contract in front of you doesn't mean you
And
need
a
to
gun
sign
to your
it,
head.
Katie.
You
Yeah.
knew
You
he
don't have
was a
to sign it.
Scientologist. You knew what you were getting in for. I say, let their marriage crash.
Anybody have any cool runner-ups?
I do.
What do you got?
Well, I had Bill and Ted.
Yep.
I've also got Planet of the Apes, the original from 1968, because what a twist when you find out that they were on Earth all along.
Yeah, it was
Spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen that
Shit,
50-something-year-old movie. Also, Mark, I think I turned you on to this one. Frequently asked
you
questions
turned me
about time
on
travel. Remember
To a
that
lot
one?
of things. I totally forgot about
The,
that
the,
movie.
the British movie that
Yeah,
was a comedy.
Simon
It was
Pegg,
kind of
right?
like...
Is Simon Pegg in that one?
No, he's not. It's Chris O'Dowd from the IT crowd.
That's right. Okay.
And
Yeah,
it's
I've seen
Anna Faris. She's the girl from the
okay.
future that kind of ropes them into this whole thing. But it's like two geeks and a skeptic, and
Yeah.
they all end up like in a British pub because it's a British film, and there's a time portal in there, and like things just like spiral out of control, and it's funny and weird, and I like that one.
I
It was a
forgot
little-
about that one. I did
from
like that one.
2009.
Now, I thought your number one pick was going to be Time After Time.
That's
Oh,
on
me
my.
too.
It's a runner-up, but
totally
I've talked
thought it
about
would
that
be-
one ad
Yeah,
nauseum, so I'm not going. That no, I wasn't going to.
And I
this time.
pegged you for Army of Darkness.
I have it on
Yeah.
here.
Oh, yeah, I was
But,
thinking
Yeah.
that too. Time
Yep.
after time. What is
Yep,
that?
Time After
That's
Time.
the
is
Jack
the
Ripper one.
Yeah, with Malcolm McDowell.
Oh, you've mentioned that before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I said.
gotta
I wasn't
see
going to
this
bring it
one.
up this
Nauseam.
time.
You convinced me.
Ad nauseum means it makes us nauseous to hear it again.
Yeah.
again,
I can't wait to
again,
throw
and
up.
again.
What does it really
I also
mean?
have a couple others. These two are kind of neck and neck because it's the Final Countdown and the Philadelphia Experiment, both from the early 80s, both having to do with naval warships that go back in time or forward in time. And the Final Countdown has to do with a aircraft carrier that goes back to World War II, just before Pearl Harbor happens. And they've got like all these, modern jet powered aircraft, and they could basically take out anything. And it's a nuclear powered aircraft carrier with probably nuclear weapons on board. It's been a long time since I've seen it, so they can basically like wipe out Japan on their own. And they have to make the decision do we get involved in World War II or do we don't? Do we change history now, or do we
What's this
stay
one?
back?
Which is the one of
The
you said
Final
two.
Countdown.
Final
And then there's the
Countdown?
Philadelphia Experiment from 1984, which has Michael Paré. That was, I just found out, was executive produced by John Carpenter.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
Michael Paré. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I
and
know that.
Karen Allen is in
And
it.
in the
And basically, this one takes place in World War II. And they're coming up with this special kind of like a cloaking device for their warships. And it's a thing to like bend radar waves so that the ships are invisible. But it turns out the experiment goes wrong and it sends the ship forward in time to the 80s. Yeah, so these two sailors are one of the only two to survive the experiment because it's pretty cool effects where like they have like people that are like fused into the hull, into the
Oh,
bulkheads
sick.
and stuff,
Yeah,
so they're like trapped in the walls and like,
Oh, cool.
you know, that kind of
awesome.
stuff. So like Michael Paré and this other guy end up getting off the ship and they meet what's her name? I said Karen Allen, I think, but it's not Karen Allen. It's from RoboCop. What's her name?
Oh, Nancy Allen.
Nancy Allen.
Okay.
Thank you, Nancy Allen. So they meet her and she helps them navigate through the
seen that.
80s into it was good.
sounds
It was
good.
good. It's not
Yeah.
one that you can find much anymore. I don't know if this one's even available to stream anywhere.
Tubi.
Tubi.
you
Ooh,
go.
I'm going to
Or
be
not
watching that
Tubi.
one. So then I've also got Time After Time from 1979. That's Malcolm McDowell as H.G. Wells, tracking David Warner, who's in tonight's movie, as Jack the Ripper through
Oh,
time.
David Warner plays.
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah,
That
it's
sounds
a really good movie. And I've also got Everything Everywhere All at Once.
awesome.
Yes,
I
thank
still
you,
need
Tito.
to
You turned me
fucking
onto that
movie.
movie.
Still need to
Yes.
see that.
Yeah,
Great movie.
It's on your
I know.
Vudu. That's where I watched
I know, I
it.
bought it, and it's
Yeah,
one of those ones that I've bought
I'll
that
watch
I-
it.
Yeah, no, that's a
Give me a
fantastic.
Watch it
Netflix.
when you get a chance.
It's a fantastic time travel movie.
I
Yep,
bet it
one-
now.
one of the best.
Tito's going to break my legs if I don't.
Time travel multiversal movies
Oh,
that
you
I've seen.
You got any backups?
It's got a lot of heart.
You guys mentioned all the backups, except one time travel thing that I love. It's a TV show, not a movie, but I have to throw it in here.
Doctor Who.
Quantum
Family
Leap.
Guy. Nope. The Family Guy episode, Back to the Pilot.
Oh,
Where
jeez.
Brian and Stewie travel back to the pilot, and they're mixing the new animation with the old animation. They're
Oh,
making
wow.
comments about how bad the animation is.
I haven't seen that one.
You've never seen
I've
this
got to
one?
see this one
Oh,
then.
it's
That sounds
fantastic.
cool.
It is
Yeah.
cool. They point out all the mistakes in the episode. Like TV's not plugged into anything. It's really cool.
And that Meg has a different voice.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Sounds-
Do they bring
sounds
back
like-
Lacey Chabert?
do.
Oh,
They
cool.
do.
Sounds like an actress who threw away a good opportunity. Something like that. It's worth talking about because it's.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
I like Family Guy. I'm a Family Guy fan. So that would probably be
noticed.
the only other runner-up that you guys haven't talked about yet.
I just have one. It's Deja Vu. It's got four of my favorite things in the world: time travel, Tony Scott, Denzel Washington, Val Kilmer.
I was waiting for Johnny Legs, but
Oh my God, what? I would cream in my pants if they made that movie. And a bomb happens, and you know he works for ATF, I believe. Denzel Washington. He's trying to, and then a body washes up, and they realize that the body washed up prior to this big explosion that killed all these people, and he's trying to figure out how that happened, and all these weird things He starts seeing all these weird things, and not really sure what's going on.
Oh,
and
cool.
He ends up teaming up with Val Kilmer and his crew, who have this device that allows them to. It's a satellite that allows them to see anywhere they want. Right, but only at a certain point, and then Denzel Washington realizes it's kind of a time machine. They can go back 4 days in the past and see anything, as long as it's in a certain range.
I think I've seen this.
Yeah. So
Haven't seen
it's
it.
got kind of like a loop to it.
What's it called again?
It's called
Deja
Deja
Vu.
Vu.
Deja Vu.
My favorite thing about, I don't think this is giving anything away, but you should figure it out fairly early that this is actually not the first time he's going through this process.
Oh, that's quite a twist.
So like the first time has already happened, but you're starting off at the second time.
Okay.
And that's where all the weird stuff starts to happen. But that's my jam.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, sounds good, actually.
Watch
Tito recommends it. We should.
Watch.
Or else.
That's my runner.
Derek, did you have any runners up?
Interstellar. Although it's very hard to understand.
That's a
it's
tough
like
one.
5 hours long.
Yeah, and
I feel like
it's such a mind fuck. But
Yeah.
you know, gorgeous film, beautiful music. Like the music's fantastic, and it is a little interesting like twist on time travel. So it's kind of cool. You know, the idea of like actual scientific phenomenon bending time. And my like other favorite mainstream one is actually Days of Future Past. The X-Men.
That's a good movie.
There's a lot of fun stuff with time
I
travel.
like that movie.
Yeah.
They get everybody back.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great.
That was one of their well-received ones.
Yes,
right?
it was.
It was.
Like it wasn't like the last couple.
It
that
wasn't.
Was that the
Now-
immediate sequel to First Class?
Yeah.
First Class, yes.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, and then it was Apocalypse, which is
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then there was the Dark Phoenix, which was just fucking awful.
Hot garbage.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard both
So
of those
bad.
movies.
But
tanked.
that one-
Yeah.
Especially like that feeling of getting that original cast back. You're like,
Yeah.
it might cover up whatever faults there are. The excite for me, especially. Like,
Well, in the
excitement
open,
of
in
getting
that
them-
whole opening sequence.
Oh,
with
in the
them
future with the and they
And the
Bishop's
Sentinels
in
are
it, and
closing
the Sentinels
in,
are
and-
coming.
yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Or they're like,
very
what's
cool.
that, Nimrod, where they like can adapt to whatever the power is, and they're just wiping out fucking mutants.
Yeah.
It's pretty badass.
They start like adapting to their powers so they can't defend them.
Oh, that's cool.
It's very cool.
And
That's
then
that was a
they
good
go
one.
on a massacre.
The market's very cool.
A mutie massacre.
A mutie massacre.
A mutie
as they
massacre.
say.
I always felt bad when they called them muties. You know,
Yeah, they don't like it.
they don't like it at all.
Good thing they don't exist.
Well, that you know of.
That's
Oh.
their word.
That you know.
That's their word.
They're bringing,
Yeah, right.
they're bringing
They
it
don't
back.
like
Bringing it
say
back.
What's that? I got that book signed. God, what is it? God Loves, Man Kills.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I have that.
Chris
book.
Claremont?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have that one. I know that one. Doesn't the president or vice president find out he's a mutant because his ear starts bleeding? Am I thinking of the right book? I might be thinking of a different one.
No.
It was a story all on its
No,
own.
yeah, but the Stryker character is using Professor X's powers to kill mutants.
Right.
So that may actually happen.
It was either a president or
Yeah.
a senator,
Yeah.
somebody who's against the whole,
He's
against the
using
mutants.
Professor X's power to start killing any
yeah,
mutant
but
on Earth.
there's a
and
way
it's-
they're determining who's a mutant by making their ears bleed, and one of them starts
Which
having
they
a-
kind of play with in
Part 2.
X-Men 2.
Yeah.
X2 is-
Yeah.
yeah, basically that
That
storyline.
idea.
All right, I'll have to reread it again. Maybe I'm combining two stories.
It's been a while for me, but that feels right.
All right, awesome appetizers, everybody. Good job. Shall we go to the main course?
Let's do it.
Crazy kids.
Sorry.
Meatloaf, meatloaf, double beetloaf. I hate meatloaf.
All right, I'll get that kid to eat. Where's my screwdriver and my plumber's helper? I'll open up his mouth and I'll shove it in.
Randy. My mother was more subtle.
How do the little piggies go?
Fava beans.
Thank you, Hannibal Lecter. Time travel. I hate it. Between the butterfly effect and time continuums, this is a genre that often irks me, mainly because I am a moron, but also because that no matter how closely the filmmakers pay attention to detail, more often or not, there's always plot holes to be discovered and scrutinized to death before you develop some horrible neurosis that causes you to confine yourself in a dark room surrounded by chalkboards scribbled with endless equations, with Cheetos wrappers all over the floor, with a collection of urine jars lazily stacked in the corner next to a furnace, and that one plastic Christmas decoration from the 70s you no longer use. True story. But I digress. Sad thing, it was a Care Bears movie or something. That's how bad I am. Having said that, however, there have been a few here and there, or both here and there at the same time, because we're talking time and space, that have become some of today's most cherished movies in the genre of sci-fi and fantasy. And tonight we take a look at one of the greats from visionary director Terry Gilliam, who went from silly walks to walk on the Hollywood squares with some of the best genre films of all time. This one being no exception. The movie is Time Bandits, the story of a young boy who sets on a fantastic time-hopping adventure with dwarves where he crosses paths with Robin Hood, Sean Connery, Angela from Who's the Boss, and an evil genius cleverly named
Angela.
Evil Genius, whose goal is to rule the world, and is also the scientist from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Use.
TGIF, yeah.
Yeah, I know it's David Warner, by the way. Just saying.
Not our Dave Warner.
Not your Dave Warner.
Yeah.
Hi, Dave. It's like the third time in a row. He's getting love now. Seriously, though, there is more to it than just this pedestrian intro of mine, and we shall unravel all of it as we dedicate this episode to Marco Mazzola and dive into Time Bandits. So, opening thoughts.
I am sad to say that this is not one of my favorites. I just find it a little bit boring and shallow and pedantic. Come to mind. No.
How pedantic. This meal was shallow and pedantic.
No, it's got such a great cast, and I do like Terry Gilliam. I'm a huge Monty Python fan in general, and I do like a lot of his other movies, but it's not as funny as it should be. It's not as fast-paced as I feel it should be. It's a little slow. And I guess they have the time to be slow, but I don't. So, but I mean, it's enjoyable, it's watchable, but it's not like something I get excited to watch. So, thanks, Mark.
Okay, you're welcome.
No, I mean Marco.
Oh, Marco,
Sorry.
that's right. There's another Marco this week. I'll go next. I like this movie. It's not my favorite Terry Gilliam movie. There are others of his I like better, but I do like this one. This is a lot of fun. It's an adventure movie. It's always great. It's a kid on an adventure movie, which I always liked, because when I was a kid, I hoped dwarves would come out of my closet and take me away from my boring life. But that never happened, at least not in the fun way.
It's because Leah didn't make the wish. Leah didn't make the wish.
No,
on the goblin.
But I do like the movie. Visually, it's a lot of fun to watch, and the cast is fantastic. And I'm a huge David Warner fan, so anything with him in it, I'll tend to. Even Scream 2, for that cameo David Warner had in it.
Who was he in Scream 2?
He was Nev Campbell's acting teacher.
Was he really?
Yeah, the one
Who's the one with a little bit of a monologue gives her strength to fight Ghostface once again.
All his fault.
Yeah. But I kind of want the rest of the movie to be about him, which is
inspires
kind of
people.
sad. Yeah.
He inspires people.
He does. So that's mine. Tito?
Yeah, I enjoy this film. I was watching it yesterday, and I was actually kind of feeling similarly that it didn't hold up as much as some of my favorites. But what I really, really liked about this movie is that I can see in all the movies that I love that he started making after, where he's taking from this film. Where you see like David Warner's like henchmen, I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh, that's 12 Monkeys.
Yeah.
Or the scene with Napoleon making them perform is the scene with like Jonathan Pryce making the group perform in Baron Munchausen for their lives. There are just these little things that I can see starting to happen. I feel like at this point in his career, he hasn't figured out how to balance the Monty Python and what he wants to do. So like the moments with like John Cleese, as much as I love him, that's a funny scene, but it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Like the
The
Michael
movie for you.
Palin.
Even like after they're all gone and he turns to like, I don't know if it's Little John, but he turns to someone and goes, "Well, I didn't like that much," or something like.
Oh, what
that's-
awful people.
Yeah, like that's a very that's a very Monty Python-esque.
It's
like,
Yeah.
thing.
hilarious.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't fit. Or like the Michael Palin, Shelley Duvall, like that kind of running gag is very funny, but it almost doesn't fit. But I can see so many things that I love about what Terry Gilliam does that are reasons that I love his like Baron Munchausen and Brazil so much. Where like you can see that if you've seen all three, you can see it start to transition in Brazil. And I think he just fucking nails it in Baron Munchausen.
Yeah.
He like knows exactly what he wants.
Yeah.
And just nails it.
Yeah.
So that's why I
Gilliam-
appreciate this film.
Gilliam
for sure.
refers to this movie as the first in what's called his trilogy of imagination.
Yeah.
Which is this movie first, and then Brazil, and then Baron Munchausen. So those three he kind of like keeps together like stylistically.
And they all kind of fit in that world
Yeah,
that he's
they do.
creating. But this one you
Especially
can see,
Munchausen in this
especially
one.
Munchausen.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I can see like I appreciate him as I'm watching. I'm like, oh, he's stealing from himself in later films, which is kind of cool. That he's kind of perfecting it and honing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fun movie. I forgot his name.
Who?
The leader of the gang.
Rappaport?
The David Rappaport character is phenomenal.
He is.
Like
he really is.
I
he's
want
an amazing
to see
actor.
him all the time. Like the
Yeah.
little kid, I don't enjoy as much.
No.
Kevin.
Yeah.
But
As
the
Randall. Yeah.
Randall is phenomenal.
Yep. Yeah.
Like he
Yep.
steals just about every scene. He's
He really
in.
does.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah,
that actor.
he's amazing to watch, and he's one of the things that I remember most about the movie The Bride.
Yeah.
with
Oh yeah,
Sting.
with Sting and
Yeah,
Jennifer Beal.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. The retelling of The Bride of Frankenstein. He was in that, and I like him and the monster together. Who played the monster in that movie? It's somebody
Is that
else.
the one with Clancy Brown?
Clancy Brown
Clancy
played the
Brown
monster.
is the monster.
Yeah,
I
so
always-
those two
you know-
together on screen, like every time they were together on screen, the movie
It's like an '80s Frankenstein.
the movie went from a 6 to an 11. Like every time they were on screen together. Yeah, Rappaport's awesome.
I always confuse.
Unfortunately,
the
died way
Bride-
too
oh,
soon.
Yeah.
Didn't he commit suicide? I think.
Oh, that I do not know.
I think he might have.
maybe.
Yeah.
I always confuse
Unfortunately.
The Bride with Frankenstein Unbound, which, speaking
Yes.
of time travel, is
Is that the De Niro one?
another. That's,
No.
that's the one with Raul Julia plays Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah.
John Hurt is John Hurt travels through time and meets up with Mary Shelley, who turns out to have an actual Dr. Frankenstein living next door to him.
Wasn't that a Roger Corman
That's
movie
a Roger
too?
Corman movie, yeah.
I remember the box from the DVD with the
eye.
eye that
Yeah.
was all stitched together, the
I'm
pupil,
looking
the
for
different
that.
colored
I'm
pupil.
looking for that
Love
VHS,
that
'cause
image.
I
Oh my
Frankenstein
god.
Unbound.
Frankenstein
Iconic.
Unbound, yeah.
From the 80s. That's from the movie, Derek?
Yeah, that's Frankenstein Unbound. That's not the Clancy Brown.
No,
monster,
no, no.
So you're right. Clancy Brown's from the
Bride.
The Bride. Yeah,
Mhm.
which is very good.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I like one thing. One thing I like about Terry Gilliam movies, this one included, is the subtle way the fantasy and reality of his films combine.
Yeah, they kind of blend.
Right?
Yeah.
They just kind of happen. There's not this like you cast a magic spell, you read some words from a book.
Yep.
Everything's normal,
Yep.
but then all
Yep.
of a sudden it
Kevin goes to his room and then the
slowly-
fantasy
yeah.
happens.
And then it just happens right then
Yeah.
and there. Kind of like the frequently asked
Ask questions about time travel. It's all in the pub.
or even for the meaning of life, the Crimson
Oh yeah.
Permanent is it
Crimson Permanent Assurance
Permanent
Company.
Assurance.
God, my favorite.
Yeah.
How that's
movie.
just that's an awesome part of that movie. That's a mini movie in itself, and it's so cool because he directed that.
Yeah.
And I really I just love that blend and
Yeah.
how he does it. He's really good.
Yep.
Brian.
Yeah, no, I love this movie. I've loved this movie since I saw it. I saw this movie in the theater when I think I was a freshman in high school when this came out. And I grew up loving Monty Python. I wanted to see this movie. I remember seeing the trailer and I fell in love with it. You know, it was right up my alley. It's Monty Python, it's time travel, and I did. I loved every gag. I was quoting lines from it years later. The Robin Hood thing, you know, with the Just
when he punches him.
Yeah, is that absolutely necessary? Yes, I'm afraid it is. Yes. Just stuff like that. That just stuck with me. Yeah.
John Cleese, very quickly. Sorry
what
to
with Christmas
interrupt,
coming up and all? Yeah.
When John Cleese is in a movie,
Yeah.
when he has a cameo or whatever, I want to see more of him.
Yeah.
It's like the Great Muppet Caper.
Mhm.
When him and I think she's from Are You Being Served? I'm not sure. Or Faulty Towers.
Yeah.
So it was funny, was what I was saying.
Faulty
John
Towers
Cleese is
what?
Right. The two of them are having dinner together.
Yeah, they're like a rich couple.
Yeah.
And Piggy lies to Kermit and tells him that that's her house, that she lives there. So she like breaks in so that she can answer the door.
I thought we were talking Faulty Towers.
No, it's the woman from Faulty Towers.
No, it's a woman from Faulty Towers.
So you're talking the Muppet Show?
Yeah. No,
The Great Muppet Caper.
Oh, the Great Muppet. All right.
Sorry. Was choking on my own. So anyway, continue, Brian.
No,
I'm sorry.
I've always loved this movie. I can see what Derek's saying, and sometimes like each time they go through a time portal, it feels like it's a different skit, like a Monty Python skit.
Kind
like
of.
okay, here's the Robin Hood skit. Okay, here's
But
the
they're
Greek
not
skit.
like funny.
Okay,
the
here,
skit.
huh?
But I don't think they're all funny.
No,
like
see,
a
I
skit.
do. I disagree.
I just like
Like
the
the
Sean,
Napoleon-
like the whole Sean Connery part is kind of
That's the driest
corny.
of them.
Yeah,
no pun
very
intended,
dry.
because it takes place in the desert. But that's the
Yeah.
driest of them all. But the funny part is, when they eventually come to rescue him.
Yeah.
And Sean Connery does this little thing where he's like kind of like into magic, so he's like enthralled by these little people and doing the magic trick and totally distracts them and they all disappear. But we'll get into that later. But like it's just a series of like Monty Python sketches. You got Napoleon, you got Robin Hood. Here he is with the Greeks, and then they go to the the land of legends, which is where darkness lives, and it's just visually stunning. To say that this is like the third movie I think that he's directed, it's amazing.
What was like Jabberwocky was before
Jabberwocky, and then he
the
did
Meaning
Monty
of
Python
Life?
and the Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail.
And I don't think he directed.
Didn't he do
He
Life of Brian?
was him.
Life of
No,
Brian?
I don't think.
Right?
Not according to IMDb.
No?
He didn't direct Meaning of Life. Am I wrong?
No, he just directed. He might have produced it and wrote it, but
Oh, I wonder.
yeah,
who directed
under directing,
Meaning of
his
Life,
first directing credits is something called Storytime, which is a short. Monty Python and the Holy Grail in 75, another thing called Miracle of Flight, which is a short, then Jabberwocky in 77, and then Time Bandits in 81.
Oh, it's showing
Meaning of Life, he did the animation and
special
special sequences in
He does
83.
the animation.
And he did the Crimson Permanent Assurance part was him.
Oh, so he
But he
did
didn't direct the
that
whole
part,
movie.
though.
He didn't
Okay.
direct the whole movie.
Ah, gotcha.
All right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
So right, this
So I
is
was
like
half right.
his third
Yes.
feature-length film.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of finding his way.
So he is finding his way at this point, but I think he did a brilliant job directing this story. I just loved it. I loved it, and we'll get into
I just
more
want
about
to,
it.
to that point earlier, and I feel like with a lot of his films, especially in this trilogy, they are really like loud and fast, and a lot's happening. So for me, when I see this movie, it's just like constant. Because there's explosions and there's stomping and there's laughing and there's gunfire and there's screaming constantly. For me, I feel like there's not enough time to like take a moment sometimes in these films. Maybe it is the driest scene, the Sean Connery scene.
Yeah.
It's probably the slowest part of the film for me.
Well, even though
But
it's got a Minotaur head or whatever.
It
it's
does.
the most
But
normal.
the thing that's cool about that one, it doesn't have to be comedy because that's where Kevin is kind of finding his real family.
Yeah.
He wants to stay
Right.
with Agamemnon. He doesn't want to be with his parents who basically ignored him in his own real world.
Right.
Now he's because even when he was in the real world, he's reading all about the Greeks saying, Dad, did you know that the Greeks had like 43 ways of like fighting and, hand-to-hand combat and blah, blah, blah.
Go to bed.
Yeah, go to bed, Kevin.
He's really good at those like mundane characters.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's like, no, we need a few of these just like stick in the mud fucking
Right,
boring ass
fuddy-duddies.
people to make everything so much better behind them. But yeah, I just want to.
And it
'cause you
really
said
makes
that
the
earlier and it
absurdity
made me-
stand out even more.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right, which I appreciate.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, since we're already there, Brian?
Hi.
You are a huge fan of this, and
Brian.
as such,
Oh, hi, Mark.
I think you would be perfect to take us through the synopsis.
Sure, why not?
Of this one.
All right. So, like we said, it starts with 11-year-old Kevin living in England with his mom and dad, and he's basically neglected. He's ignored. He's trying to get attention, and they're more concerned with consumerism and
Jimmy Broadbent.
And Jimmy
Fucking love
Broadbent, who
that
shows
guy.
up as
He's so good.
the TV announcer. Yep.
in the most uncomfortable looking
game show
apartment.
ever.
No, I'm talking about
the
where
apartment
they
with
live.
the plastic line,
the plastic on every
and how
piece
they're
of furniture.
Eating supper. They're eating in this cramped little spot, just side by side.
Yeah, and they're bitching and complaining because their neighbors have a device that can cook an entire roast in 8 seconds, and theirs only does it in 10.
Yeah,
they want the latest and the greatest, and that's what they're more concerned about.
That almost seems like a consistent throughout Terry Gilliam's.
the
like,
consumerism and the
or the world that you're
things
living in is so cramped. If you could get outside, like imagine what's out there,
Right.
and everything
Good,
gets so much
good point.
grander once they leave.
Yeah.
but everything's just cramped or deadly and dangerous or boring.
Yeah.
and you just got to get out of it.
Yep, which little Kevin soon finds out as he goes to bed. And as soon as his dad tells him to turn the light out because he's still reading his book on the ancient Greeks, and he turns the light off and he hears noises and it's coming from his cupboard, his wardrobe, I guess. And a knight in shining armor leaps through on horseback into his bedroom, and Kevin freaks out, which is a great, great scene. Which is, I guess, a staple of Terry Gilliam's too, with like just things bursting out of other things.
For
it's
sure.
just like
Something's
totally
always
out of
crashing
the blue.
through something else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. So the next day he's ready. He starts preparing his bag with his Polaroid camera, and he's ready for the night to come again. But it doesn't. This time it's 6 dwarves pop out of his wardrobe. And
is one of those dudes R2D2?
Yes,
Yeah,
Kenny Baker.
Kenny Baker?
Yeah.
Kenny Baker is Fidget. He's the one that's got the upside down colander on his head with the candle.
Oh,
in it.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, basically the nice one.
I like how Kevin's anxious to go to bed.
Yeah.
He's like, "Can I go to bed now?"
Yeah,
Well, the
he
second
can't
night,
wait
yeah.
because he wants to see this again.
You have to eat first.
You have to eat first. You have to let it-
And
you have to
it
let
has to settle.
Yeah.
I can feel it settling. That's funny.
I'd be like, go to bed. Go ahead. That's
Yeah.
great.
Go now.
Yes.
Go. Yeah, so he does, and he's ready for the night to pop out again, but it doesn't. Like I said, 6 dwarves pop out of his cupboard, and they start beating the shit out of him because they think that he's the one that they're running, that all the dwarves are running from, but he's not. He's just Kevin. And then when they find that out, they just beat the shit out of him until the actual supreme being pops out of the cupboard. And starts doing his thing like it's
the head.
What you have stolen from me.
Show me what you've got.
Basically. Good job. So they discover that the actual portal is in Kevin's room because they push on the wall and it starts moving forward, which
I
is
love
like
that
great.
scene.
Very cool.
I know, I love that.
There's a similar effect done in Poltergeist where the room keeps stretching.
Yeah. Right, yes.
That's what it made me think
Yes.
of. Joe Beth Williams running down the hall, and the hallway just keeps going.
Stretching and stretching, yeah. But a great effect where they start pushing on the wall starts moving forward and forward until it becomes like a corridor, and then the wall just flies off into space, and there's the portal, and they all jump through and land in Italy.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Italy.
it's Napoleon, but he's actually in Italy.
He's
He's conquered parts of Italy, and he's there with his generals, and he's trying to be entertained by the local troupe there, and this is what the puppet show.
He's stupid.
And he's
Oh,
loving
it's
the
like
puppet show
What were
because
those characters called?
Punch and
Punch and
Judy.
Judy.
Yep.
yeah, I love little people hitting each other. I want to see more of that. And he's all pissed off at his generals who are all over 6 feet tall, and he hates them for that. So
He's
When he
great.
starts
Ian
talking
Holm
about
is
all the
great.
other,
Oh,
all the
he's
other,
great.
all the
And that's not the
conquerors
first time
before
that he's
him,
played Napoleon
how tall
either.
they were.
Oh, he's got heights.
He's
All the
like-
heights of
Yeah.
like
Alexander the
Genghis Khan.
Great.
Yeah,
Genghis
they're all
Khan.
tiny guys.
And 3/4.
Yeah, it's
Sarah and I were watching that. We looked at each other. We're like, "That's not true, is it?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know, honey."
What part's
I mean,
not true?
You know, Alexander was this.
Oh, yeah, no.
No, honey, I don't think so.
no.
Mark, that's
Speaking-
wrong. That's
Yeah.
wrong. That's not true.
Yeah,
Speaking of fiery short people,
yeah, yeah. Sarah, somebody check on
my
Sarah.
lovely Sarah. So she's fine. I'm the one, man. Broken beer bottle. What do you mean? I'm short. Love you, honey. Happy Thanksgiving.
So the 6 bandits and Kevin they land and they figure out where they are. They end up backstage while Napoleon's watching the show, and the stage manager that is there, and
that's a hilarious part.
He's
too.
trying to bring out
kill
acts
himself.
that will, he keeps trying to bring out all these acts that are he thinks are going to keep Napoleon laughing and happy, but he doesn't. He brings out act after act, and they're all huge people, and Napoleon just keeps frowning. And is like, I like a little people hitting each other. That's what I want to see. Little people, little things hitting each other.
And he gets it.
Because the
troop of little people.
Yeah, the dwarves are there,
It's
and
like a fucking orgy. For
they take the stage, and just as the stage manager is about to hang himself with the curtain rope.
It still does.
Yeah, the curtain rises and they sing "Me and My Shadow," and Napoleon is dumbfounded until he thinks it's the greatest thing he's ever seen, because they start like stepping on each other's toes, and they're all trying to hog the spotlight, and they end up beating the shit out of each other on stage.
That's what he wants
Which
to
I
see.
really like. Randall's got that great line. It's like, what did we decide? None of us are in charge, so do what I say and give me the map. It's like,
yeah. Randall's brilliant.
I like that. Again, there's one of those like Monty Python kind of things where the guy does try to hang himself. But in fact, he just
it's very dark humor.
He raises the curtain, so he just falls. And I'm sure. I assumed he was fine.
He was fine because he showed up.
This is
after
very
that,
funny, right? Just like it's real fun. Or even you get to see what because Ian Holmes' hand is in his pocket the whole time.
Yeah.
And he's only doing things one-handed.
Yeah.
Which is very, very cool. And you're like, oh, he's really selling this.
Yeah, just like the painting.
Until the point where like they're all eating dinner, he passes out and they rob him and then they pull his hand out. And it's a gold hand.
A gold hand.
He's just got a gold hand that whole time.
And they take every bit of loot that he had behind him, including the Mona Lisa, which is there. They got everything. They just wrap it up in all the tablecloths, and they look for the portal. And as they're trying to sneak by all the generals who Napoleon had just fired, and he hired all their
clothes.
Took all their clothes, and now the dwarves are now his new generals. But Napoleon passes out, so they steal all this stuff that he's stolen from the Italians, and they wrap it up in the tablecloths, and they try to sneak by the generals that are out by the trying to warm themselves by the bonfire.
Yeah, they make them turn around. They give a command to turn around or tension.
But they don't, and they see what's going on, and they chase after them, and they find the portal, and they go through the portal, and is this where they end up in the Middle Ages?
No, Sherwood Forest.
That's the Middle Ages.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because they land. They land
Yeah.
on the first landing on of Michael Palin and Shelley Duvall.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
right.
he's
You
got-
think
that's
they're going to
another
help him,
fucking-
and they don't.
Yeah.
They just
Like,
go right
what's
by
his
him.
problem? You never find out what his issue is.
Yeah.
He's got that problem.
Yeah. You don't have to
but
wear
what
the
about
thing
your
anymore,
problem?
do you?
I
No,
think
I don't have to wear the thing anymore.
I think it's premature,
It seems like it's a little more than that. If you have
Something
to wear
sexual.
I thought something wasn't working.
Yeah.
Correctly.
Shelley
for
Duvall
sure.
found
Yeah, maybe he's wearing a
Shelley
peg.
Duvall found somebody. She shouldn't complain about anything.
No, not at
I'm
all.
sorry. I know I'm no prize, but damn,
Was
man.
it Vincent and Pansy?
I know Pansy
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
She's Pansy in every version, right? But he's
Yeah,
just,
because they
Pansy.
encountered them twice. I guess
Yeah.
it's
She's
supposed to be
like
like
on
them
the Titanic.
reincarnated.
That with the nose.
she's like Dame Pansy.
Yep.
And then Michael Palin is just Vincent. Each time.
Yeah, Vincent and Pansy. So they basically land on them as they're in their carriage discussing their problem, and the carriage tips over because it's got now the six dwarves and Kevin, and all the loot. And
cloth full of loot.
Yep. And everything spills out, and as they're gathering it up, they're accosted by some of Robin Hood's merry men, who aren't very merry at all.
Not at all.
They're hilarious, though.
They end up in like that bear trap thing where they're all suspended
they
by
all
their
get
feet
their
up in the
feet.
tree,
Yeah.
and they're trying to like intimidate them. It's like, you
This is
mean
another
West.
Randall's going like toe to
Yeah.
toe with the guy.
Yeah,
That's a great scene.
Yeah.
I read that Terry Gilliam, because they're actually inside of the carriage, and his direction was jump into the carriage, but don't land on
them.
anyone. So he's like, I'm going to show you what to do. He jumps in the carriage and he lands right on Michael Palin. He's like, but don't do
what
that.
I did.
Yeah. They're just like, just don't have him in the carriage. Just,
I know.
Just pretend.
Have a couple
that
of dummies.
people-
or
yeah,
something.
right. He's like, all right, jump everywhere that there are people.
Yeah, so they're brought before Robin Hood, and they say they want to see the boss, and the guys are like, well, you really want to see the boss? Like, he's an idiot. Well, the boss. So they bring him before Robin Hood. It turns out that Robin Hood is the boss, and it's John Cleese who comes out. Everybody else is dressed like in rags, and he's the only one that's dressed
time appropriate.
Yeah, he's the only one that's dressed like the Errol Flynn from the 30s.
Yeah,
but he's got like this
yeah.
oversized fucking hat.
Yeah.
like straight out of the storybook, as opposed,
he's the only one.
It made me think of like Prince of Thieves and what was the Mel Brooks
Men in
Men in
Tights.
Tights?
Men in Tights.
I was like, oh, they just came together. He calls one of the guys Marion.
He does.
Yeah.
I think it's the grunty one.
Yeah.
Like the one that's
the one that doesn't speak much
translating.
English.
Translating.
What did he say?
Is that necessary?
He says, "Yeah, I'm afraid it is, sir." Have you met the poor? Oh, they're lovely people. Haven't got 2 pennies to rub together, but then again, that's why they're poor. So
and he mistakes them for donating all this stuff.
well, he just assumes that it's all for them, and they're like, "Wait a minute, what? You're not taking this. This is ours." He says, "Oh, no, we got to distribute it among the poor." That's when he says that line that I just said. You know, have you met the poor? They're lovely people. Yeah. But then as they pass out a bit of loot to each one of the poor's getting in line, one of Robin Hood's merry men punches each one in the face as they get their gift. And he turns to her and says, "Is that absolutely necessary?"
I love that part.
Yeah, I'm afraid it is, sir, yes. And then the old lady's getting it, and you see the guy like winding up. He's like limbering up that arm, and he's like eyeing the old lady in the face, like he's like, you know, not wavering with his eye contact, and he just wallops her. And it's brilliant. It is. It's absolutely brilliant. It's total Monty Python, and I love it. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's weird. Yeah, I didn't remember that scene. I didn't remember the Michael Palin.
That scene is the most
and the
Monty
Shelley
Python
Duvall.
scene.
Yeah.
It's the most Monty Python scene.
Yeah.
For me,
Very.
like my memories of that film are more them with the evil genius when I think about that movie, because it was one I watched like sparingly through.
Yeah,
my
same.
life.
And it's like I said before, like each time they go through a time portal, it's almost like it's all right. Here's another skit. Here's another sketch. You know, and it's great. I think they're all brilliant. After they escape from Robin Hood and his men, is this where they have the 2 portals? Oh yes, because the Supreme Being finds them at this point, and he shows up through the trees, and they're like, "Oh, he's coming!" And you know, and it's getting all rainy and foggy, and 2 portals open.
Yeah, and Kevin jumps through.
And at the last minute, Randall yells, "Not that one!
Don't go that way." It would have been straight around the castle.
Yeah, right. There are a few things in this movie that remind me of Labyrinth. Yeah, and I'll get to that later too.
Well, yeah, because that was written by Terry Jones, so
it was.
It's another Monty Python.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
I can see the similarity.
Yep.
Sure.
Right.
So we don't see where the dwarves end up, but Kevin ends up in Mycenae, which is ancient Greece, and he, you know, we don't see where he is first, but we cut to an ancient Greek warrior with the full helmet on.
A gladiator,
no, not a
right?
gladiator. No, he's not a gladiator.
I thought he was a gladiator.
No, because we find out he's the king, so he's not the gladiator. He's not a gladiator.
They die for
He's
sport.
just got a helmet.
Gladiators. They fight for sport.
Yeah.
They fight for the audience.
Yeah.
Okay.
So gladiators do.
Are you not entertained?
Did you see Gladiator?
Yeah, I saw it.
Did you see
I saw
Gladiator?
Gladiator. Pearl Harbor. And Jurassic Park.
Hey, you like
love
gladiator
those
films, Bobby? Do you like it when scraps rubs up and down on your leg?
You ever see a grown man naked?
We see what we'll find out later is the king fighting a minotaur, a big, huge guy with a big bull head, and they're going toe to toe.
That thing is so
spear
freaky
to spear.
looking.
It is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's typical Terry Gilliam.
Yeah, but it's great, but it's-
you can tell he designed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like a high school art project.
It does.
It does.
After he rips
but
the
you
head
know
off.
what? It adds to the scene.
It does.
It's really cool.
Yeah. So they're fighting, and just as it looks like the Minotaur has gotten the drop on the king, Kevin gets the drop on the Minotaur, literally.
Oh,
by
Kevin.
falling out of the sky. The portal opens up right above the Minotaur, and Kevin lands right on him, knocking him out. Yes.
I thought he lands on the king, and then it distracts the Minotaur. And
was it? I thought he landed on the Minotaur.
When Kevin gets off of him, then Agamemnon stabs the.
Oh, he might.
Stabs
Yeah,
the
you
Minotaur.
might be right.
Tommy.
Yeah,
He
you might
did
be
land,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess he did land on the king.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Soak it in, Derek. Soak it in. This is your moment, buddy.
Yeah, I hated this movie, but I like that part.
Yeah,
Fell on
see?
Agamemnon.
I did watch this movie.
I told you watched it.
So Kevin falls out of the sky, distracts the Minotaur by landing on the king. The king grabs the broken spear, throws it into the stomach of the Minotaur, kills him, and then he removes his head, says, "I'm going back." he says you're welcome to join me, and but
Sean Connery beheading a creature, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yes, I didn't say that.
But no lightning in the back.
I was going to say no Highlander references at
He
all.
takes the helmet off and it's Sean Connery.
Oh, it takes.
Yeah.
That's funny how he's Greek and
The
he's
Spanish
still speaking
peacock.
with us.
Yes,
with a
he does in
Scottish
every movie.
accent.
Exactly.
Spanish peacock.
Yeah. There was a. Hold on.
Bill Kurgan.
There was
I like that he was like they wrote the character as a Sean Connery like.
I was just going to say that.
Character.
Yeah.
And Sean Connery heard about the movie.
Yeah,
was like,
and he says, "I'll
just
do
play
it." Yeah.
So do they fall through and go to the scene with Angela?
Huh? No, I was
Is that
looking
where
for.
they go through?
I was looking for the part where we were just talking about Sean Connery. How they
Oh,
originally
yeah,
wanted.
yeah.
It was in the script that they wanted somebody. They wanted Sean Connery or somebody of Sean Connery's stature but cheaper.
Right. Yes.
And then
His
the
Mexican
script ended up
equivalent.
I guess his agent gave him the script and he loved the script, so he ended up doing it anyway.
Oh, okay.
But he did it for a fraction of what he would normally charge because he liked the fact that it was a children's movie and he hadn't really done any of those in the past. So that's what I was just looking
Darby
for.
O'Gill, right?
Yeah, and the little people.
That's true. Yeah, I forgot
It's the
about that
only
one.
children's one I know of.
What about James Bond? That's for kids.
Yeah. Entrapment.
That's your impression
That's
of James
my
Bond.
impersonation of James Bond.
Pussy.
Patula clock.
Right? It's a character, right? That's named Pussy
Yeah,
Galore,
Pussy
right?
Galore. Oh, I'm
Pussy
still on
Sopra-
Sopranos.
Yeah, from the Sopranos. Yeah, Uncle
Still on
Big
the Sopranos
Pussy.
kid, yeah.
Yes, old
Robin
Uncle Big
Spitz.
Pussy.
There's a
Mid-name
character
swallows.
called
Big Pussy.
Pussy, huh? Yeah, well, there is a
Yeah,
pussy in Sopranos.
Uncle Big
Hi,
Pussy.
yeah, but
Uncle
you were
Big
probably I should have leaned toward Pussy Galore right away when you were talking.
Yeah, because I was talking about James Bond.
Right.
Not The
See,
Sopranos.
time travel movies,
Yep.
not for this brain. There you go.
You know what I like about this, and it's early, so it's that early time travel where there's no thought of like they're gonna screw up the space time continuum.
Right.
Don't
No
step on
butterfly
any
effect.
bugs.
Which is
Exactly.
why I
They just
like
bounce. They just enter a portal.
Yep.
They meet Robin Hood. They jump out of the portal. Nothing's really changed.
Exactly.
You're on board with
They're
it.
just kind of
They
bouncing around.
They
Yeah,
steal
it's
the
fun.
Mona Lisa and nobody knows.
Yeah, right. They steal the Mona Lisa. Who cares? That's probably not the original, anyways.
No,
The one is it the Louvre?
it's in the Louvre now.
That's probably not the original either.
You never know.
Well, I mean, if National Treasure taught me anything, none of them are
There's
real.
a secret map on the
They're
back
all
of it.
fake. They're all basins.
Da Vinci Code
something
taught
to do
me
with,
that. No.
with
Right.
Ben Franklin. That's son of a
Tito's
bitch.
been reading too many Dan Brown novels.
This is
That's it.
our most offensive
The Da
episode.
Vinci Code.
Yeah, where we go after
There we go.
where we go after the founding fathers. That's the,
Founding fathers, we attack religion. I say fuck Alan Moore. We're gonna lose some listeners. We're gonna.
Yep.
who was attacking religion?
I said Da Vinci Code, proving it all fake. Wasn't
Oh.
not truly
I
me.
was still thinking about the Masons at that point.
Right, I know. I was just adding.
Okay.
Brian, for the love of God, keep going. Get us out of this.
I like where you're going with
Stop
this.
this crazy thing.
No, so
Brian,
so
stop
so
this
Kevin
crazy
ends up
thing.
following Agamemnon back to the city, and he thanks him for helping him defeat the Minotaur. The enemy of the people is dead, and he throws the head down into the
that's
crowd,
good.
and the crowd erupts into cheers. And then he says that this boy I will adopt him. He will now live with me and my family. And his wife looks really
She gives
pleased
him
about
a
that
fucking-
fact. Oh my
the
God!
shittiest look.
Talk
ever.
about it.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
She's like, not in my house.
Nope.
Aggie.
Yeah, Aggie. Yeah, she didn't look like she was very pleased with
He's
anything.
gonna what?
Yeah. He's gonna be my heir.
That's right.
Oh, we've seen that look.
Yeah. So then
we all have seen.
He was looking at
So
it like
like
the
we said-
fruit's poison. You can't take me, baby, you fucking devil woman.
the monkey ate the dates and it's dead.
bad dates.
Clothes for business across your uterus. He had to.
Get
That's what he was
chastity
implying.
belt from Men in Tights.
There you go.
It all
was
goes
implying.
back to Men in Tights. Call the locksmith.
Oh shit.
What the hell are we talking about?
We're still trying to get through
Time
Agamemnon.
travel.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
I
Time
got it,
Bandits movie.
Not gonna work here anymore.
So Agamemnon.
Agamemnon.
Is the city. This is the one that we said earlier where it's kind of like the slowest and the driest. Not very funny. But it kind of establishes Kevin really liking this because he was really into this when he was living with his parents, who ignored him. And now he's got this father figure that really likes him. He's paying attention to him. They show Kevin with his Polaroid taking shots of all the people in the city, and he's really having a great time. But then they have this feast. It's the feast where Agamemnon announces that Kevin is going to be his heir, as he's going to adopt him. And, people from all over the city come in. They bring in that bull that big guy slices open. All the fruit spills out.
Oh, yeah. That's,
Yeah.
I remember that.
And then you see the what I guess you would call them mummers, right? The dancing masked people come in, and they the musicians fire up the music, and they're spinning and whirling all over the place, and then they split in two because it looks like they were like little men on horses. And it turns out that it was just the six dwarves coming to rescue Kevin. They split in two. They jump off the horses. So the dwarves start gathering up stuff. They're going to perform magic because they realize that Agamemnon likes magic. They're going to perform magic for him, and they're gathering up like jewelry from the crowd, and they even take the king's crown, and they pull a sheet up over them as they all gather in the center of the room, drop the sheet, and they're all gone. They even took Kevin against his will, I guess, because he didn't want to leave. Yeah. But all of them end up departing, and it just shows like everybody like waiting for the punchline. They all turn around where they all were, like, when are they going to show back up? And it actually goes on for a little bit longer than it probably should, but it actually demonstrates the fact that these guys are not coming back.
Yeah.
They
That's
are
very
not
Monty
coming
Python
back.
also.
Yeah.
That like extended awkwardness.
Yeah.
think they're coming back.
Connery has that smile on his face that slowly disappears as it starts to dawn on him that something's wrong.
You got the guy in the cab from Airplane at the end of the movie. Well, I'll give him 5 more minutes.
Is it here that we're introduced to David Warner? Or did we skip over that? Because when did David Warner start spying on them through his like magic base in there?
Yeah, he pops up before because he takes over one of them and points them in the direction to go to
the most fantastic object in the world. Yeah, that's when he takes over Ogg's mind, and Ogg is the dumb one.
Oh, that happens when they're in the woods.
Yeah, that's
that
the
before
first.
When they come back on
Robin Hood, right?
The second time they get to the tree that Michael Palin and
Oh,
Shelley
that's
Duvall are
right.
tied to,
Yeah.
and they have even less clothes
Yep.
on because everybody's just stealing their clothes.
That's right. Yeah,
That's why. And they refuse to set them free, which I think is great. They're just like, no, we don't.
Yeah,
want
they get all excited because
We're
somebody
not
else
those
is
people.
coming.
Yeah,
and they
right.
just walk right by, and they're like,
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
So you're right. That's when we're introduced to David Warner as the evil genius. And
I freaking love David Warner.
he is great. He is fantastic.
And he's
in this
funny,
movie.
too.
He is.
I forgot how, because you were the first one to introduce me to this movie, believe it or not. This one slipped under my radar.
Really? I
Time
introduced
Bandits.
you to this one.
Yes, you did.
I introduced you to Time After Time with David Warner, but I
And
didn't think I
Time
introduced
Bandits,
you to this
too.
one.
Yep. I mean, I've been a Terry Gilliam fan, but for some reason, this
Wow.
one I had not seen, or if I had, I don't remember seeing it, seeing two, or whatever. But I forgot, even, seeing this a second time, or third, wherever I am, I forgot how funny David Warner was in this film.
Yep.
And I forget how funny he is in general. Like, I don't see him play a lot of comedy, but the dude's great. I just feel the dude was really underrated.
Yeah. So
sorry, Brian.
No. So we're just going to backtrack a little bit because we forgot to introduce our antagonist, our villain. David Warner is the evil genius, and he has been spying on our little band of Time Bandits because he too wants the map. He wants it, so he wants to understand computers. He wants to use it to go forward into the future.
Essentially, he wants to rule the world.
He wants to rule the
That's
world,
what
but
he just says.
He wants it. He wants to do with technology instead of riches. He's more. He's like, the supreme being. He invented slugs. He says, "What can they do?"
I love that line.
Slugs.
I love it.
He says, "What about the superconductor? What about what about nuclear fission? What about He starts naming all this other stuff. Nipples on men. He says it's worthless. So
the sad thing is he's got a point.
He does have a point. He has a very good point. I kind of side with the bad guy. But he wants the map for himself. And one of his henchmen comes up with the plan to lure them to him by saying that there's a fantastic object out there that they need to get. So he implants this thought into Ogg's head, which is the dumbest of the dwarves.
It is Ogg.
And he starts speaking like, well, what if we get the most fantastic object in the world, And they decide this is a great idea. Fuck Randall, we're going after this, And
I feel like with that power,
Yeah.
you just get in their heads and say, give the bad guy the map.
don't start looking for plot holes where there's already a movie about holes.
I like the holes. The holes are fine. It just dawned on me now, actually. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. He's got mind control.
He
I
does.
feel like he could have put that to more use.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay.
That's okay.
Doesn't hurt the movie at all.
Would have made a shorter movie.
If movies made sense.
So we were introduced to him. Then Kevin and the group gets split. Kevin goes to see Agamemnon. The group rescues him, and that's when they end up
The ogre
with
on the boat
on the
Yes?
Titanic first.
Oh, the
that's
Titanic.
That's right.
Yeah. 'Cause
Yes.
they're in suits the rest of the way.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Dapper.
Kevin has it out.
They land on the Titanic, right? And this is when the group starts to splinter. They all start like turning on Randall, start turning on each other.
Yeah.
Kevin's all pissed off that they took him away from ancient Greece where he was happy.
Little brat.
And they're all living their best life on the Titanic, not realizing exactly where they are and when they are. And
and correct me if I'm wrong, but neither are we, right?
Right, you don't realize that until the ship
shakes.
Yes,
Okay.
slams into something and everybody goes sliding off the deck.
Because I was like, oh, that's funny.
And then they go buy a life preserver that says SS or RMS Titanic on it.
What the fuck's
And Vince.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's like
with the
Part
problem.
two, but
with
he's got the problem.
This time he's got a problem with his nose.
Shelley
Yes.
Duvall's got the problem with her face. He has a hairpiece too.
That's right.
Yeah,
it flies off at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
funny.
camel that breaks the straw that breaks the camel.
That's the camel that broke the
breaks
camel's
the straw
camel.
that- I'm gonna stop. Go ahead.
Yeah. So
Pansy. That's
Thank you.
Pansy,
Thank you. I am.
Pansy and Vincent.
Oh,
yeah. So they're I guess they're reincarnated and they're living on the Titanic. Not living on it, but they're traveling on the Titanic and living in this time and the
He
Titanic
draws her
is
like one of his French girls.
Yes.
I believe.
Ew.
And then they do a little dance under the ship with all the Italian immigrants
you
to
know,
bring it back to Italy.
You know those. You know what
for
that
you.
makes me think? No,
Just
I'm
for you,
just
Mike.
kidding. Thank you, Tito.
Fabrizio. He's my favorite character in that movie. Fabrizio.
I can already see America.
Yeah.
He's a very
It bums
small,
me out.
but I can see America.
It bums me out that he dies. It really
Yeah.
does. Fabrizio. He's
Yeah.
so fun.
Gets trapped below decks.
Poor bastard.
Mm-hmm.
It happens.
But that was another Titanic story. And this one, our heroes all get off the ship.
Sorry, it's
They
not
all-
just me.
They all get off the ship and they're in the water and they're still yelling at each other.
Yep.
And they hear another ship coming. Right? Is this where Catherine Hellman?
This is the ogre.
No,
and, it's not the ogre.
no. So they're in the water, and this is when Evil Genius sees them in the water, and he decides to transport them to the time of legends. And this is when their black tuxedos turn to white because everything becomes reversed. Remember?
All right, yep.
They go flying up, and then they go flying down, and he transport them to the time of legends, and that's when they're picked up by Mr. Ogre and Catherine Hellman's ship, Mr. and Mrs. Ogre's ship.
Mr. Ogre.
Yeah, she's whipping up all kinds of potions for him as he wakes up in the morning, and don't forget your medicine, dear.
Angela.
Angela.
I guess she was supposed to be an ogre too.
She was.
But she thought it would be funnier if she wasn't an ogre.
Yeah.
She's right.
And less time consuming.
I gotta agree with Mona
that is
on
funny.
that one. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's Mona pre liver spots.
I knew you were going to bring up the liver spots, too.
Dude, she's in Brazil.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
She
is.
looks nuts
Yeah.
in Brazil.
Yeah.
She's got-
they do
she
plastic
looks nuts
surgery
in
on her.
Brazil.
She's got the stretchy face.
Yeah,
She's got
that's
the
right.
stretchy face.
And
yeah.
she shows up. She makes a cameo in Fear and Loathing.
She does.
And her face starts stretching there as well.
Oh, no shit.
Because he starts.
See, again, Tito is going back. Terry
Yeah.
Gilliam copying
stealing his
himself.
own
Yeah,
self.
Johnny Depp starts tripping, and,
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah,
everybody
yeah.
starts becoming either just all deformed and everything, like their
Mm-hmm.
face is stretching. Hers does the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And
From Brazil.
she looks like the
Oh,
Brazil.
that's awesome.
She wasn't originally going to be in this movie. She was Ruth Gordon from National Lampoon's Vacation.
Really?
Remember? Yeah, she
Oh,
was
no
originally
kidding.
cast
Wow.
but couldn't do it because I think she had other stuff going on. So they got Catherine Hellman instead.
No, I like him.
She ended up making a bunch of stuff with Gilliam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she did.
Love those directors that use the same people.
Right? Yep.
I always
The
like
old,
that.
the old
Yep,
stable of actors.
like the Coen brothers or what's it, Wes Anderson or
Oh, Ruth Gordon and Harold and Maude.
Harold and Maude.
Ah, yeah.
Right?
Love that movie.
Oh, wait, who was the one that played on Edna then? In remember the one that was
Oh, I
tied
know
to
who
the
you're
to the
talking
roof of the
about.
car?
Yeah, that wasn't her.
Yeah, that's
Was it
not
Ruth
Ruth
Gordon too?
Who
was that?
No, it's
Shit, I thought it was. It made sense that it was.
Yeah, I thought it was too.
Betty White.
Imogen Coca.
Oh, Imogen
Oh,
Coca.
Close.
That's right.
Not Poots.
Not
No.
Poots. No.
You know, you can't tie her to a car. You'll never allow that.
My car's got the Poots.
No, Jean. Emojine.
Great name. So
Yeah, so they're transported to the Time of Legends. They hear the ship coming. They sneak aboard just as they're below deck, Mr. and Mrs. Ogre. Mrs. Ogre is tending to Mr. Ogre, who apparently, as fierce as he looks, has all these ailments and can't get his shit together in the morning. And she's nagging him to take his medicine. And she's nagging him about this. And she's saying, oh, is it your back again? And he says, yeah. But he has to go up on deck to do his whatever he does. And she's downstairs getting breakfast ready. And that's when they discover the dwarves and Kevin. And Mrs. Ogre wants to put them in the pot and have them for breakfast.
All of them at once.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they're little guys. You know, it's like a mouthful. It's like a nugget.
That's one hungry lady.
Mr. Ogre's a big guy.
I like how she's more monstrous than he is.
Yeah,
Though. She's dying to eat
she's down below sharpening the knives in the skewers. She's singing that song about, they're gonna sharpening the knives in the skewers, and they're gonna be in the pot and blah, whatever she's singing. And he's up there, and they're trying to like reason with him, and they realize that he's got a bad back because he tries to pick one of them up and put them in the pot, and you hear the back snapping, and he's and so they said, well, we'll stretch you, we'll fix you. So they each grab a limb. There's a few of them on each limb, and they start stretching him. But then they start swinging him back and forth, and they end up tossing him over the side of the ship.
The old heave-ho.
Yeah. And everything all right, dear? Yeah, I feel great. He does. He feels great. Like his back is, and he's in the water. He's like, I lost. I can cough. And he lets out a big bellow, and he pushes the ship forward. Right. Oh, and at the same time, the Time Bandits get rid of Mrs. Ogre by putting the pot over her and kicking her over the side of the ship as well.
That's right. In the water.
Yep.
But isn't the boat?
Well, then you find out that the boat is actually attached. It's the hat of a giant.
Yeah.
That's actually walking on the bottom of the ocean, and then as he gets closer to land, the ship starts rising up out of the sea.
That was cool too.
And here's where it reminds me of Labyrinth. Do you remember when they get to shore and they focus on the tiny little cottage, and there's that little thing that's arguing with his wife, and it reminds me of the two guys that
push the stones up.
That push the stones up, where when Jennifer Connelly is putting her lipstick arrows to guide her. That one, Well, he's doing the same thing. Yeah. But that guy was in The Meaning of Life. He was the elephant-headed butler.
Really?
Yes. Going back to
there we go.
him stealing from his own stuff.
Those little guys are in Willow, by the way, too. I'm convinced those are the
brownies.
Kevin
Pollock.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
they're not named in the Labyrinth as anything.
No,
it's true.
So I think those are brownies.
Could very well be
Could
brownies.
be. It was all George Lucas. George Lucas did both of them.
Shared universe.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Yeah. It rhymes. It's like poetry. It rhymes. So the giant actually steps on that little cottage, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to get out of this mess. And the Time Bandits start going through Mrs. Ogre's potions, and they find the sleeping potion and the bellows. So they rip up some of the floorboards of the ship, and they see the top of the giant's skull there is the top of his head, and they jab the bellows into his head and squeeze it and
pump and smoke
pump him full of the sleeping potion, and he immediately sits down and takes a nap, takes the ship off like it's his hat, and starts rubbing his head and falls to sleep, and they escape and start wandering through this rocky, desolate, desert-looking spot.
Yeah.
And they think that there's nothing around, but they find some bones, and they're walking through like the bones of a dead thing, and arguing the whole time about why they shouldn't be going this way. And Randall, give us the map. We've been following you, and you've led us into nothing but trouble, and blah 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 blah. They encounter the force field, and that's when they start arguing because they can't go any further, and they're deciding whether or not to go back. And they pick up the rock or the skull where they were going to bean Randall over the head with it, but they miss, and they break the force field. It shatters, and they see.
Or Randall has a moment where he's like, "Oh, I know exactly where we are. I know exactly what's going on." He breaks which is very cool. The broken glass. When he does shatter. It's very cool.
Yeah, and you see the castle of the evil genius is right on the other side. So they start heading towards that because that's where they figure that the object of their ultimate desire is lying in wait for them. So they make their way to the castle. And the cool thing about this is where it starts to become, like we were saying before, where the fantasy and the reality starts to blend. And you start to wonder if all this isn't in Kevin's head.
Yeah. Mhm.
Because you start to see that the castle, as it goes on, is made out of like Lego bricks.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and
then you get the game show.
You get the game show, and the parents are there.
And the host, I mean, I know it's Evil Genius, but I
Yes.
found out that the guy playing the TV host,
Yeah, Jim
before-
Broadbent.
is in Bullets Over Broadway. He plays Warner Parcell. I had no idea. I know that guy.
Yeah,
I thought it was Stephen
he's
Root
in a
at first,
ton of
but
stuff. No,
yeah.
no.
He's in
No.
Moulin Rouge. And,
Yep, that's right.
He's in Brazil. He played.
Yep.
He was in Iris's husband. I forget that.
Professor Slughorn.
That's right. He was in Harry Potter.
Great big bushy beard. That's Jim Broadbent.
That's Jim Broadbent. That's right.
That is him.
I didn't. I
Yes.
did. I
That's-
never
that's
even put
right.
that together. That was
Yep,
him
from Hot Fuzz.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
I
that's him.
discovered something tonight.
See that?
That's awesome.
You can go home now.
Okay. See.
Mark has learned something.
It only took 45 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they get to the castle.
Yep.
Evil confronts them and takes the map from them, right? And locks them all in a cage, suspended by a rope. And there's another cage way off in the distance, and there's another cave in that direction way off in the distance, and they're trying to figure out how to get out. And they climb up. They realize that Kevin has a knife.
Which I guess is from a deleted scene where
Yeah.
I think he gets a knife at some point.
He
in
gets
the
it. He
movie
got a
that
knife
they
from
get-
Agamemnon.
that they
Yeah,
cut
that's
from the
what it
film.
was. Yeah, yeah. He gives it to him.
And this is another thing that it reminded me of Munchausen, the scene when they're on the moon and they walk and they walk and they get to the very edge of the crescent.
That's right.
And they have her hair and they make the rope out of her hair and
Mm-hmm.
they tie it and they, I need more rope. And he cuts it and he's like, where are you getting all this rope from? He's like, from the top. And then they realize that there's no rope connecting to the moon. And they fall to their deaths or whatever. But
It's very Warner Brothers. Why
yeah, but it has that like
they realize that
they're
there's
cutting
nothing
away at
holding
this
them up.
giant rope, and then
Yeah.
when he's done, there's just enough of
tiny
it, like
strand.
a sliver of
And that's what
of
happens
rope
here
that
too.
I fucking love.
Yeah, because they have that huge rope that's the cage is suspended from, and they cut bits and bits and bits off until there's just this one tiny little thread that's holding them up, and they make a rope to suspend. I forget the guy, the bearded dwarf there, not Strutter, Wally. It was Wally,
Yep.
the strong one.
It is Wally.
So they start swinging him towards the other cage on the other side. He grabs on, and they make like this rope bridge, and then Strutter, the older bearded guy, swings over to that cage, and then they all follow one by one.
Zip lining across
Kind of
it.
zip lining, exactly. And then all the while, because their cage is now suspended by the tiniest of threads, it starts to fray and snap, and who is it that almost dies?
It's Wally,
It
'cause
is-
he gets
Oh, it
stuck
is Wally
at the halfway
That's
point.
right. Yeah,
They think he's dead.
So they think he's dead, but he's
Yeah.
actually not. He ends up climbing up at the very last minute, and they're all happy because they're all there.
That was one of those things I forgot, and I was like, oh,
there
he's
was much
dead, and I was like,
rejoicing.
oh, that's
Yeah.
pretty effed up that they killed him. But
What?
I said, and there was much rejoicing.
And there was much
There was,
rejoicing.
there was a
Yay.
ton. They were so happy. What are they? And that's when they get to David Warner or Jim Broadbent pretending to be, because it's like this maze, but they're standing on top of the
That's
maze.
right, and they start running because they see what they think is the object of their ultimate desire. Is
And they're captured.
the prize of this game show? Yes, and they're
Again.
captured. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep. They're captured. One of them gets turned into a pig.
Yeah, that part was freaky.
Yeah. One of
I
them
was
gets
like, oh my
turned
God,
Oh,
into
it's
a pig.
great. He's
Pigs.
like half a pig, though.
Yeah.
He's
Pigs,
like half a pig.
I've come to realize pigs frighten me in films. Between this and Willow, both freak me out. I'm like, I don't like pigs in fantasy movies.
So
Apparently,
you're not a fan of Babe, I take it.
no, frightens me to death. Never mind Pennywise. It's fucking Charlotte's Web. No, that's all right. But
Those creatures,
Spectacular
though,
pig.
I don't know. They come out of nowhere, kind of these horned.
Good.
cloaked,
They make that weird
super
screeching
tall.
noise.
Yeah, it reminded me of. Oh, you know what? That's
The
the
Village.
beginning of this movie. You hear the scream
With
of
the
the
horse.
creatures from Krull.
Crawl. That's what I thought too.
There's
Yep.
like to start
Yes.
the movie. That sound.
Yeah.
The exact same sound effect.
Yep.
Those
I
were just
thought
whales.
that too.
Those were humpback whales, Tito.
They
Humpback-
were humpback
Yeah.
whales.
People-
That's how they made that sound, Mark. With
A
humpback
little
whales.
throwback to last
What
year.
movie was
no,
that
that
one?
was Legend.
It
Actually.
was Legend, right?
But that's just-
Was it
Yeah.
Legend?
Legend was
Yeah.
With the whales?
humpback whales.
Yeah, the
Making
unicorns
the
made
sound?
whale
Yeah.
sound.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
It wasn't an actual
No, it
unicorn
wasn't
sound.
No, it was a whale.
They had to go out in the wild and actually record
They
unicorns.
had to
Tito.
record
It
unicorns
was a
in the
humpback
wild.
whale. Yeah. And you said unicorns don't actually exist.
That's also true.
And I regretted my
Just brought it
decision to bring you up.
Shame on you, Cameron. You thought we wouldn't have any fun.
It's all right, Tito. I know you're just a figment of my imagination.
Oh, what a story that would be.
like Ferris, the whole fan theory of Ferris.
I was never here.
Yeah. All right. So, anyway.
So this is where it starts to go off the rails a little bit.
now it does.
Because it gets really chaotic because then they start bringing in things from all different aspects of time. They bring in that spaceship that was actually like the Lego spaceship or the Playmobil
totally
spaceship.
Randall's driving the tank.
Yeah, the cowboys.
Yeah, cowboys that get
which was a
knights.
cool scene because the cowboys all lasso Evil. And
when they spin him? Yeah,
and then they spin him and that thing comes out of the top of his head. The top of his head flips up and
it's very
the spinny
Beetlejuice.
blade.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
it's
it
very
was.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
This thing opens up
way
and the
before
thing.
Beetlejuice.
That part was a little problematic for me. And they were like, let's lynch him. And I was like, oh, goddamn.
Oh, no. Things got real.
It's a different time back then, Tito.
I was like, holy smokes.
I didn't have that problem over in England.
Yeah.
Yeah, so who else was there? They had the archers, right?
They
had
have like
the
Roman
Greek
archers
or the Roman archers.
His response to everything is very comedic and real like silly because they
You
shoot
mean
the
evil.
arrows.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he like expands.
He becomes
into a
that
fucking ball.
pincushion.
Yeah,
He
he's like
becomes the
fucking Violet from Willy Wonka.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah, but he became like that tomato pincushion that everybody's grandma had.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For the needles.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. Remember
Fuck
that thing?
Yeah. Yes,
That's
I
exactly what he became. Help me out here, Tito. How do they end up getting out of this one? Because Evil defeats pretty much everything. And is it the Supreme Being that shows up and turns him into blows him up?
Yeah, the old Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, literally the Deus Ex Machina. Yeah, the Supreme Being shows up and basically turns into.
That'll be enough.
Yeah, turns Evil into a big piece of charcoal.
That'll do a little evil.
Yeah,
That'll do.
And he tells everybody to just clean this mess up. Yeah, it's out. Ralph Richardson is God. He's
Ralph Richardson.
Yeah, yeah.
Supreme shows up.
And he makes them all clean everything up and sends
Evil Edgar Genius.
Yes.
How many times have I told his middle name's Edgar? How many times have I told you?
Yeah. Yep. He tells all the Time Bandits to clean this mess up, and they start throwing the chunks of evil into the mailbox.
And start chanting "Evil dies tonight."
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Oh yeah, they throw them into a mailbox.
Evil dies
Oh,
tonight.
we didn't talk about how they get kicked out for making the pink tree.
That's right.
The shitty tree.
Yeah, they worked. Yeah, that way back at the beginning of the movie, they were explaining to Kevin that they worked for the Supreme Being, and their job they worked in the shrubbery and tree department. Yeah, yeah, and one of them made what do you call it? The pink humpadoo or something like that?
It's like the red hump. Yeah, the red humpadoo.
600 feet tall, bright pink, and it smelled terrible.
That's how they get fired.
Yeah, yep. So they stole the map.
Big plot hole because he says that. Doesn't he say that they didn't steal the map, that he gave it to them? I'm saying the Supreme Being.
Oh, the Supreme Being. Well, he's going to say that because he's infallible. You didn't take it from me. I knew what you were doing.
Because I was going to say, because at the beginning of the movie,
no, he's just trying to cover his own ass.
Yeah.
He's covering his ass.
He's covering his ass.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he's trying to maintain the
Corporate.
infallibility.
All of corporate
Typical
does that.
old white guy.
Typical corporate office, man.
So true.
Yep. Manager.
Manager.
We're down. I can't do the cool voice like you can.
We're
downsizing.
Great.
Now I can think of as Dracula Dead and Loving It with Anne Bancroft. Beware the lurking danger. I have way too much chin to do it. I need a little old elderly waddle like she had in that movie.
Elderly waddle.
An elderly waddle.
So Kevin gets sent back to his bedroom, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And he's woken up because
his house is on fire.
His house is on fire. There's smoke and all this stuff flying around in the air before he left because Evil was just defeated, turned into a smoldering piece of charcoal. And that's what he wakes up to. He wakes up to smoke in his room, and they're telling him to get out because the house is on fire. And he gets out, and the firemen say that the cause of the fire was the Sunday roast was still in the microwave.
Still in the microwave.
Yeah. So the parents look and
smoking green smoke.
That's right. And Kevin realizes that it wasn't it's not the roast that's in the microwave. It's actually a piece of evil that's left over. So he yells for his mom and dad not to touch it, and of course, in true mom and dad fashion, they ignore him and touch it.
It's a loaf of bread.
Yep, and they blow up. Yeah, they blow up.
But you get a little, full circle. Sean Connery comes
Sean
back.
Connery is
which
one of the
apparently
firemen.
was his idea also to come back at the end. He was like, I should come back at the end.
It'll be a lot happier.
Yeah, because he was filming the movie Outland at the same time, and I guess they let him off for for time to film that, because I think they said it only took a day to film that one scene, or half a day.
This is one of those like movies. Brazil is kind of like this too, where I think like Terry Gilliam didn't know how to end it. Doesn't quite have endings yet.
Yeah, no, a
lot
of the movies are like that.
Yeah, he doesn't have endings yet, because then it's just Kevin just standing there.
Yeah,
he's so used to
he's got no parents.
Yeah, and then the camera pans back, and it's the world again. Then you see the map and the time holes, and it gets folded up by God.
Well, it's an ending, but it's not like a tacky conventional ending. Sometimes things just end, and they're not so
Well, he's got no
grandiose.
parents, and then fucking Sean Connery took off.
Yeah.
Well, he'll be
Poor
fine.
kid.
It was all in his head anyway.
He's been through a lot. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
He'll be
Well,
fine.
maybe the Time Bandits will come back and sweep him off, and he'll go back to
That should
living
have
with
been the
Agamemnon.
There was going to be a sequel.
There was going to be a
but
sequel.
they all died.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's
well, half of them at least.
Yeah, but by the time Terry Gilliam got around to actually thinking about making a sequel, the guy that played Randall, David Rappaport, was dead. The guy that played Wally had broken his back and then died.
And then he died.
Yeah.
Yeah, three of them. I think Randall was the last one to pass, and at that point he was like, well, I can't do it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, no.
Because he does. I think that character makes the movie.
Oh, he absolutely
more
does.
so than.
David Rappaport was brilliant.
This is one of those. I think. Yeah, because in most movies, like you like the kid who's on the adventure, maybe you don't like the kid. I am like indifferent to Kevin. I have no
really
feeling about him one way or the other.
Kevin's like the Doctor Who companion.
He's just that, yeah.
He's
but
us.
not even that.
Yeah, but some of those guys
can
can be really fun.
Yeah,
some of them can.
There's really nothing.
But not
to
when
him.
they're first introduced, and unfortunately, we only got like an hour and a half with Kevin.
Yeah.
You know?
I think
maybe
and you feel bad for him because his parents are shit.
Yeah.
But,
he
did
overall,
I don't really care about the kid.
Maybe just keep his head out of the clouds.
Yeah.
No, he's
like
just,
they should have just left him with Sean Connery.
That was Bastion. He became Bastion.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
little bastard.
Little bastard.
Little Kevin Bastard.
Nah, he's there to be the eyes for the audience.
Young dirty bastard.
Pretty much it.
Yeah, but it's fun. But you follow these people on their journey. So I feel like where they get Sarah Polley right, because she's that character too.
Yeah.
But she's so interesting in that movie and likable and you're worried about her the whole time.
That's true.
Like, I'm not worried about Kevin at all. Like if he's gone,
I kind of forget he's there
I'd be
sometimes.
like, all right, yeah.
Like they should have left him with Sean Connery.
Yeah, I would have been cool with that.
Why do you need him?
He didn't do anything afterwards.
You don't. I think the
he didn't have a Clavin or
the dwarves
anything.
were more fun.
Way more fun.
Yeah.
Well, anything else in the movie is more interesting than
Kevin.
You
I mean, they give him a lot of credit for being, he's got a knife. And
he's got
every once in a while they'll like give
give
him credit for being so brilliant, as a
he likes to read.
Like
he's a kid that likes to read. He doesn't watch TV. He wants to go to bed early. He's a goody.
So his parents did a good job.
Yeah, they provided a roof over his head. They feed him. They clothe him.
You don't just end up like that on your own.
Yeah, you don't kill him. They did provide for you. You know what? Kevin's the bad guy.
Kevin is the bad guy.
What a
He's
jerk.
the evil genius.
He's a supreme evil.
This guy's
he had a bedroom.
Parents, they work hard.
He had toys. He didn't buy those toys, all those robots and whatnot in there.
He has a great room.
Yeah, he does. He has a nice room.
They encourage his behavior.
Yeah, they made sure he ate. And
That's
reasonable
That's
meal.
right. He was going to go to bed hungry.
He was going to go to bed hungry, and
right.
They were worried about his
I bet you when he goes swimming, they make him wait the half hour.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where did he get that book on the Greeks?
Exactly.
He didn't buy that shit himself.
No,
he
he
had no
did
job
not at all. He's not paying room and board.
It's Friday. You ain't got a job.
It's not like Harry Potter's.
He's got posters on the wall.
Yeah.
That's right.
This kid sucks. That's it.
All right.
I'm just indifferent to him. I don't think he sucks. But
I think he sucks now
after thinking about it.
Yeah, I think he killed his parents.
I'm a little indifferent to the character.
I think he fucking killed his parents, and then when the cops
there
came,
was a roast in there, and he put the piece of evil in there instead.
He put something in there.
Oh no, Mom, don't.
Yeah.
Stop. He did the whole Willy Wonka thing. Wait, stop.
That's
come
right.
back.
Yeah, right.
And the cops showed up, and he invented this whole story, which we are watching now.
Exactly.
Oh my God, he's fucking Kaiser Soze. He is Kevin Spacey.
No, it's great. Everybody's freaked out. They
Kevin
see the parents
Soze.
explode, and they're just like, "We're just gonna walk away from this."
Yeah.
Oh, some guys just evaporated in front of me.
Forget it, Tito.
I'm not
It's
writing
time-
that report.
Forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown.
That's a lot of red tape.
Yeah, right. It's Time Bandits.
Whenever a movie doesn't
And that's
end
just
or
Time Bandits,
ends
man.
bad, that's how you just end it. You go, forget it, dear.
Somebody walks up,
it's
slices his
Inception.
nose open, and then yeah.
So that's Time Bandits.
Robin Polanski shows
That's
up.
Time Bandits.
So that's
baby.
Time Bandits.
Time Bandits.
Yay.
So closing thoughts. Anything else?
I still like it. I'll watch it again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would see it again too.
Yeah.
I
I love this movie for 40 years. I'll love it for another 40. if
what
it's
I like
still
about
around.
it is what I can see from Terry Gilliam and what's to come that I truly love.
Mm-hmm.
And him trying to kind of figure it out as he's going through his career. And this is kind of the beginning of that, which is fun, which is really fun. And again,
Yeah.
the Randall character is, and I'm big on
Yeah.
characters more so than stories sometimes. That Randall character, I think he just steals every scene he's
He does.
in. He's just like
Yeah.
a huge focus of
He's
the
really
film.
good.
And he's
Yeah.
just super entertaining.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I was watching this and I was like, oh man, he could have been Willow. As much as I love Warwick Davis,
I agree.
like Randall could have been a fucking awesome
He
Willow.
really could have.
You know,
Yeah.
I think he's phenomenal in this film.
Yep.
David Warner's
Agreed.
great.
Fun fact too was George Harrison was the producer of this movie.
George Harrison, yeah.
He made it through his
Out of
Handmade
pocket.
Films company. Yeah, he financed
There's
this
a
movie.
song in it that's from him, right?
Yes.
George Harrison
Yeah.
wrote the
I
song.
knew it.
Yes,
I
he
knew
did.
it.
Yeah, the end credit song
I'm
is
like,
George
damn,
Harrison.
this is very George Harrison.
Yeah.
I don't think they got along very well, him and Terry
Him and
Gilliam.
Terry.
They had a falling out on this movie.
Yeah.
Because Terry Gilliam was really difficult to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I
He's
like
the
I
son.
was
But
watching this and I
George-
fell into a deep dive of just
Yeah.
like Terry Gilliam and then was like reading stories about Terry Gilliam and not being like a bad guy,
Yeah.
but being so kind of
Stubborn.
stubborn and very intense
Yeah.
about the movie making process. But
George,
also
George
being
Harrison
very,
compared him to John Lennon. He
Oh,
said,
yeah.
he said,
Yeah.
and Gilliam took that as a compliment.
He was like, one of the
He
best
says, you were one of the
compliments I've
most
ever
stubborn
gotten."
people I've
Yeah.
ever worked with. He says, and I've worked with John Lennon.
Yeah, right.
And he's like, oh, well, that was
I
my
read
favorite
that too.
Beatle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which it is. Like, how can you hate
Yeah.
being compared to like
It's John Lennon.
someone that
How many
everyone loves?
documentaries have been made about him?
Yeah.
And you, George.
Hey, don't start bashing George.
I'm not
Let's
bashing
not
George.
turn this into
I'm
that.
not bashing.
I love George.
Yeah.
It's a
love
good,
George.
my favorite
George Harrison
Beatle.
made
But
some good music.
there is a known fact that there are more documentaries made about John Lennon than George
Yeah.
Harrison.
Yeah.
And even less about
There's
Ringo.
also more documentaries made about Hitler.
Well, that's a good dark turn, but okay.
What a
That's true.
comparison.
Yeah.
So
What a comparison.
George,
Holy
The
fuck.
two. I'm just
John
saying.
Lennon and
So John Lennon
John
and
Lennon was just
Hitler.
following orders. I think. He was just following orders.
Yoko
Orders
made
from
me do it.
Yoko.
Yoko
Yeah,
made me do
exactly.
it. He was following orders. That's what they all say.
John Lennon eventually married a woman whose father invented World War II.
Is that Handmade Films? Is that the
That's
the
it,
film
yeah.
company?
British film production and distribution company founded by George Harrison and another guy named Dennis O'Brien, I believe. And they made Monty Python's Life of Brian, Time Bandits, The Long Good Friday, and Whitnail and I.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
The other two I don't know.
Yeah, no, I know of Whitnail and I, but I never saw The Long Good Friday.
You know, it's because when you see this movie, you can kind of see that they're trying to. Maybe it's almost the Monty Python effect is what he's using to try to sell the film.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to make Brazil,
You're
no
right.
one would finance it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he made this So it's-
Instead,
yeah.
yeah.
So he makes this movie, and it's like,
And then it became a
what do you love
a
about
critical and financial success.
Yeah, it becomes a
was
hit.
Like it was like the number 10 grossing movie of that year. I think it made like almost $40 million off of a $5 million budget. So I mean, and that's in $81 too.
Which is interesting. You know, I didn't see Brazil probably till I was in my mid-20s.
Yeah.
I had never heard of Brazil.
Yeah.
I'd seen Time
It's
Bandits.
a country. It's
Yeah.
America.
I had seen
it's the
Time
big one.
Bandits.
Yeah.
I had seen Baron Munchausen, that one in the middle.
Yep.
It's never on television.
No, none of them are really.
Like,
12 Monkeys pops up every so often.
Yeah.
And
but
Baron
like
Munchausen used to
Baron
be on
Munchausen
TV
would
a
be on
lot.
television.
It used
Time
to be,
Bandits
but
would
not
be
so
on
much
television.
anymore.
Yeah. But I never saw Brazil on TV. Somebody let me
Yeah.
borrow the DVD because they were like, "You're like Terry Gilliam. You've never seen this movie."
Yeah.
And I did, and I
I'll
was
have
like,
to
"Oh my
see it.
god, it's amazing."
Yeah. Yep. Robert De
an
Niro,
amazing
Jonathan
film.
Price.
Dude, it's all-star cast. Yeah, Bob
Catherine
Hoskins.
Hellman. Yeah, Bob Hoskins. That's right.
I'd like to see
Jim
that
Broadbent,
again.
Ian
It's been a
Holmes in that
long
one.
time
I know, me
since I've
too.
seen that.
All right. I'll watch it.
Ian
Jesus.
Holmes, man.
Ian Holm.
Ian
Yeah.
Holm. This movie with him. I'm sure he's done a lot more, but I only really remember The Fifth Element being another example of Ian Holm doing like comedy.
Oh, he's very funny.
And I know he's funny in this. And I'm sure there are other things. Yeah, I'm sure there's but these two stick out in my mind. What?
Vito?
Father Cornelius?
Father Vito. Father Vito.
No, you're just baiting me now.
He's Italian.
Baiting
Light.
Aziz Light. That guy's Italian. They're drinking grappa.
Much better, Aziz. Thank you. Neither of them are in The Sopranos, though.
Drinking grappa.
Luke Perry
Luke
is
Perry
not
in The
Italian.
Sopranos?
Luke Perry wasn't in The Sopranos.
No?
No, he's not Italian either.
What about Aziz?
No.
No.
I don't think Aziz was.
Light.
I don't know who the hell Aziz
Light.
was.
They're drinking grappa.
Yeah, but that doesn't explain who he was.
It didn't matter. He was 30 seconds in the movie.
Yeah, well, I had spaghetti last night, but
For Thanksgiving?
No.
Right.
You lie.
You had an Italian Thanksgiving. No, we didn't have spaghetti. No. The closing thought to me, I like it, and like you guys said, I would watch it again as well. It's it's not my favorite, but it's not a bad movie. It's a great movie.
That's a great way to put it.
Did that make sense? It's not my favorite Terry Gilliam movie, but it's still a good movie.
Yeah.
Very entertaining, a lot of fun to revisit, and I would watch it again. So, Derek, I apologize.
That's all right.
Your final thoughts, Jerry Springer.
No, I'm not.
Derek Springer.
I would watch it again. I'll give it another shot, especially if I haven't seen Brazil, and I would like to see all three of them in a row and see what Tito's talking about. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'll force myself to watch it again.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay.
I hear voices.
I hear voices too.
It's the doors.
My daughter is getting loud.
Right out of that
They're telling us
closet
to kill
right
them. I
home?
have an overwhelming.
It sounds like I've got to make somebody some mac and cheese.
That was yesterday. Right.
Oh yeah.
It's killer though.
It is killer, isn't it?
It's killer.
Killer.
It's killer.
I make a killer mac and cheese, Tito.
Oh, I've heard.
Oh, shut your dog up. Okay. So anyway, that was Time Bandits for Marco Mazzola. Marco, if you're still with us, and I hope you enjoyed our discussion, our breakdown of Time Bandits. There is still time, Time Bandits, to get some of those requests in, guys. So we got a couple more, but we still have a few spots left. So if anybody else has some requests, please let us know. And before I can, before Brian tells you where, what's making our geek flag fly, gentlemen? Who would like to start?
I'll go.
Okay.
I was inspired by the fact that you have a sick obsession with The Sopranos.
It's amazing.
And
you listened to me.
I didn't start watching The Sopranos,
but
I did start. I started rewatching a different HBO series, The Wire. From the beginning.
Oh, you had recommended this.
It's
to
one
me.
of my.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite shows ever. It's really kind of a phenomenal series, and the subject matter really holds up. What I'm finding very funny about the show, though, is the use of like payphones and pagers, which is just hilarious to me. Going back, and it's only like 2000 and I think it's 2002. That's still fucking 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And the references to 9/11 having just happened. Yeah. Like I'm watching the show and I'm like, oh shit, this is why, the FBI is doing this. They don't care about drugs anymore. They care about terrorism.
Yep. It's
and
all
they're not
about
getting any
Homeland
help from the federal
Security.
government.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like everybody's using payphones and pagers still. And the like invention of the burner cell phone.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, just a great show. But the subject matter really holds up. And the storytelling and the characters are just so fun and interesting. And sad and fucked up. But yeah, you were talking about Sopranos, and I was like watching clips of Sopranos, and then clips of Sopranos turned into clips of The Wire because of the YouTube, and I was like, oh, I want to start rewatching this.
I am going to see The
And
Wire.
it's only 5 seasons. How many seasons is Sopranos?
Yeah, season 6 is split up into 6A and 6B.
Okay.
At least
there were
on
only
HBO
6
Max.
seasons. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's about it. I haven't seen. I've kind of been binge watching that lately.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, same. I've been seeing a lot of, still sticking to the old stuff. However, I've got 2 things. The first one is I started reading Batman and the Joker, The Deadly Duo from Mark Silvestri, and I'm going to butcher this name, Arif. Help me out here, Derek.
Arif Prianto.
Prianto, thank you. This is Batman and Joker teaming up to face a greater foe, basically. What I really like about it is the artwork from Mark Silvestri, who I've always been a fan of, is
beautiful.
very impressive.
Yeah,
It's beautiful. There's some good comic art out there, but I find not enough lately. A lot, especially with a lot of the mainstream comics. A lot of the artwork, I don't know, maybe you disagree, Derek, I don't know, but has not been that impressive of late. There's some here and there, but not like it used to be in the 90s.
They're really going to stop using Microsoft Paint. It's just, it's lazy.
This art is old-fashioned 90s goodness right here, and it's beautifully done. If you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend picking it up. Volume 1 is fantastic. It's
Again, probably
miniseries.
pointed towards Marco, who is a huge
Marco,
Batman
you
fan.
are a
that's
Batman
right,
fan.
Marco.
I don't know if you've read this yet. It's from DC Black Label, which is not their main canon. So there's the side stories are always the ones I go for.
I love their non-canonical.
Yeah, same
stuff.
here.
Yeah.
So I really recommend this one. Check it out. So far, it's been very good. And the other thing is, I saw Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special.
Yeah,
It was
me
fucking
too.
Fantastic.
I gotta see it.
I watched it this morning
Sarah
myself.
and I watched it today. We had a lot of fun.
My wife and I did too.
Guardians and Spider-Man, probably the two things I love most from the Marvel world.
Is it an hour?
Not
45
quite.
minutes.
Yeah.
45? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't
no
want
villain,
to give
right?
too much.
No villain.
No villain.
No. It's just a story.
It's an actual Christmas special.
Yeah.
Like it's really well done. It's James Gunn. I love James Gunn.
It even opens and closes with an animated segment.
Yes, it does.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
I don't
Like
want
an
to give
animated
too much.
flashback?
I don't
No,
want to
me
give
either.
too much away because
But it's brilliant. It's
fresh, and
yeah.
you guys haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth seeing.
Yeah.
Absolutely check
I
it
mean, I
out.
definitely do. Based on the trailer that I saw,
Yeah.
I was like, that looks like fun.
And I do like the Guardians, and I
He
love
does it
James
well.
Gunn. I like his stuff. I'm really happy he's coming over to DC soon, and I can't wait to see what he does.
Some of my favorite Marvel movies are from those two movies.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If I think about my favorite Marvel moments, the majority come from Guardians of the Galaxy. That's cool.
Well, it's its own thing. You don't have to worry about a timeline or
Nope.
connecting to another movie.
Yeah, right.
It's just you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a blast.
Yeah,
And,
much like the Halloween special was with the Werewolf
exactly.
by Night. It was
Yeah.
its
I
own
want more of that stuff. Those
self-contained-
specials are
Yeah,
really
yeah.
hitting it off.
Yeah.
I love them.
No, agreed. And I hope we get more holiday specials.
I think we will.
This should become an annual thing.
I can't give it
I've said
away,
before.
but
Yeah.
Yeah.
so those are mine. Derek?
I am. I'm replaying Red Dead Redemption 2
For the 15th time?
like fourth. It's like the fourth or fifth. But like
14th.
from the beginning. And
But doesn't it not end?
Well, no, I mean it's an open world.
It's what they call an
the
open
end.
sandbox.
Yeah,
You can do
like,
whatever the hell you
can do
want.
stuff, but like the missions stop, and you kind of. But the thing that's the best thing about that game is the story itself and the main character Arthur, and it's such a great story. And
I do the same thing with
to relive
Skyrim.
it, yeah,
Skyrim has been around since 2011.
Yeah.
I've been playing this game now for 12 years.
Yeah,
and I
will
love it. I will
like,
never get tired of it.
I will play this forever.
Yeah,
It
no,
is
I
the
I-
music, the
I feel
setting.
you.
It's like because I'm a big fan of Western movies too, and the fact that it was like it's so cinematic.
I own it, and I gotta play it more.
Oh,
I
good.
probably only played it a couple of hours.
Yeah,
I do
it's-
that though, and then I'm like, but Skyrim's over there, and it's calling me.
You get so
I gotta go
like
I go back to Cyrodiil.
people get so emotionally invested in it, and it's like the way that the story progresses.
Yeah.
And the end of it.
It looks so good.
It is.
I gotta play it. I will play it.
And the other thing is, I went and shotgunned the new Wednesday show, and I gotta say I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
I'm up to episode 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jenna Ortega's our girl, right?
Yeah.
She's our
Like
girl.
seriously.
Yep.
She's
Yep. We saw how many horror movies
she's
she was in.
3 in a row.
She was in Studio 666. She was in what
X.
was it? X. Yeah.
and Scream.
Scream. Yeah.
That's right. And Scream.
Yep.
Now,
yeah, she's great.
Louis Guzman, who I love.
Yeah.
And
as
he's
Gomez.
Well, because it's based on the real Charles Adams.
Right, but when I saw, you know how you
strips.
you go on Netflix, you click on it, and they show a little preview.
Yeah.
He was talking, man, and I could not get past it.
He
Just
sounds
being
like Louis Guzman, but
Guzman.
when you see him in the costume and the hair,
Yeah.
he looks just like the
See,
drawing
I
of Charles
think he
Adams.
does look like
And
him.
I don't usually like Catherine Zeta-Jones, and she was
Really?
I
How
liked
can
she's
you
more
not
tissue,
love
right?
her? Oh my
Man,
gosh,
I
she's
love
stunning.
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
She just
Yeah.
it's.
Man,
I mean,
T-Mobile.
they're not in it a lot.
T-Mobile.
They're in it for a little bit of the first episode.
Yeah.
and then they're in it.
More towards
there's
the end.
One
Yeah.
episode where it's like
I
a
think
family weekend.
the one that we would just
I think
watching,
six
like 5
is
or
yeah,
6.
six
Yeah, was
yeah,
the one.
is
Yeah.
the parents' weekend one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what about you, Brian?
So my wife likes young adult, like supernatural, books and series like that, and she likes the young adult post-apocalyptic fiction kind of stuff. So she's watching this thing on Netflix, and one day she says, "You've got to see this. I'm watching this show. It's about witches, of course, and there's an effect in episode number 3. This one witch has the power to decimate." And my wife like fast forwards
Like
it,
Thanos snap,
but in slow motion. It's like a slow motion explosion.
Wow!
And this guy turns into like every bone separates, every organ like just lifts out of him. His eyes bulge out of his head slowly. His skin peels back slowly. It is one of the best effects I've ever seen on TV.
Yeah.
This is a British show called The Bastard Son and the Devil Himself.
Oh, I've heard about this show.
Isn't Tim Drake in that?
I don't know.
Tim Drake from Titans is in that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. All right, yes.
Yeah, I've seen trailers for that.
Yes.
That's cool. Yeah.
So she showed me this scene, and I got hooked. So I had to go back, and I started from episode 1, and we ended up watching the whole thing last weekend.
Yeah.
And it was pretty damn good.
I've heard good things.
It was pretty damn good,
Nice.
I got to say. It's got to do with, like, young adults and 2 different factions of witches that are warring against each other. And one guy who you think is the good guy, turns out he's not, but he's trying to get, like, he's trying to absorb all these powers from all these dead witches. It was pretty good. I'm not going to spoil too much more of it, but I ended up enjoying it, and I don't usually like that kind of thing.
Nice.
But my wife does. She'll watch anything like that. Anything. Like, she's the one who got me into Sabrina, because she wanted to watch that. I'm like, okay. And
People exploding is
beautiful
a plus.
Yes,
creatures,
exactly.
dark
You
materials.
had me at decimation. I'm like, and they use that effect twice on 2 different people. It's pretty goddamn cool. Like you, Derek, I'm also watching Wednesday. That's one of my things making my geek flag fly. I'm up to episode 6, so I think I've got 2 more to go, and then we're done. Tuesday night, I went to go see The Menu with my dad.
How was it?
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I can't wait to see it.
I liked it a lot. But remember last week we were talking about poor movie-going experiences?
Yes.
Had nothing to do with the other people in the theater, but the sound in the theater that we were in made it so hard to understand what the dialogue was.
Oh.
My dad, who's pushing 80, he had no idea what anybody was saying except for Ray Fiennes. And at the end, he's like, I got to go get my money back. This sucked. And then he didn't. He's like, the car's over here. Let's go. Fuck it.
Not taking those 10 extra
but
steps.
it was good. It was good. I really enjoyed it. And I want to see it again where I can understand the dialogue better because there was a lot going on in that movie to say that it all pretty much takes place in one room.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like those kind of movies, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. Really great cast. Nicholas Hoult, Anya Taylor-Joy, of course, Ray Fiennes. Trying to think if there's anybody else that's... Judith Light, of all people, is in it. She plays one of the diners in the restaurant. Samantha.
Oh, that's Angela.
Speaking of Mona.
No, she's
Samantha. Oh, she was Mona. You kept saying Angela.
Oh, yeah.
Mona. I said,
That's
Mona
Derek's fault.
Sorry.
So, yeah, those are the 3 things that are making my geek flag fly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Judith Light. All right.
Yeah, Judith Light. Yeah.
Those are a lot of cool things.
Yeah.
I check these out. Sound good. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. Hey, if you enjoyed this episode and would like to hear past episodes, Brian, where can they go?
They can go to www.3gdpodcast.com. That's www.
The number 3.
gdpodcast.com. Thank you, Tito. There you will find, like Mark said, all of our past episodes, and you will also find places where you can rate and review the show, because a rating and a review will help to drive us up the charts and make it easier for people to find us when they're searching for 3 Geeky Dads. Our social media links are there as well, although we're not really posting anything to Twitter these days because I'm waiting to see how that all shakes out. But our Facebook link and our Instagram link is there, along with our Twitter link, but we haven't been posting much there lately. Our Ko-fi page is there. If you would like to make a small donation, it would be greatly appreciated, because any amount that you could pass on to us will help keep the show going. And let me see, what else is there? I think that's pretty much it. Oh, one-click buttons where you can, I keep forgetting to mention this. There are one-click buttons. It's the most important thing. If you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe. Go to www.3ddpodcast.com. Find those one-click buttons to subscribe to whatever podcast platform you would like. There's about 20 up there for you to choose from, so whichever one is your favorite, please stomp on that little button, and you will never miss an upcoming episode. And as always, everybody, thank you so much for listening.
Beautiful. Very well done.
Very nice. Yeah.
All right, awesome. So this episode, again, was for Marco Mazzola.
Yes.
Thank you very much for
Thanks, Marco.
for
Marco,
requesting.
Yeah,
Yep.
Marco Mazzola of the Entertainment Rants Podcast.
All right.
You can listen
One of
to
our faves.
One of our faves. We're all big fans of Marco and his crew, Larry, Bruno, and Mila. Please give them a listen because it's an excellent, excellent show. They have a lot of great stuff to talk about, and they're a very funny crew in their own right. So please give them a listen when you're not listening to us.
Absolutely. I want to give a shout out to Chris and Tristan Ham.
Yes.
We recently got together with them over Zoom and watched Jingle All the Way.
We did.
Because we're,
fun.
yeah, and so it was nice seeing them again. And they, oh God, that movie. Boy. But we had a lot of fun watching it. So thank you, Chris. Thank you, Tristan. Look forward to doing more of these. And
yeah, we're going to have to get an actual episode together with those guys again.
And thank you guys always for listening. We still have a couple of spots left before we do our big Christmas surprise episode, which I'm looking forward to. So if you have anything you want to request, want us to talk about, laugh about, it can be a good movie, it can be a drink till it's good, please let us know. Go to all those things Brian just mentioned, because I'm not going to do it again, and chime in. So until next time, for Three Geeky Dads, I'm Mark.
I'm Derek.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Tito.
We're saying keep watching the skies, because at any minute, Kevin will fall on you. On top of you.
It was just Thanksgiving yesterday. Maybe those turkeys from WKRP are still dropping down.
And I won't help you, because I'm going to be rewatching Sopranos. Goodbye.
John Leguizamo was on there.
That's right, he was. I forgot all about Johnny Legs.
I got sidetracked because I was looking at the cast of menu.
What is it? What is it? He said. What is it? Ace says. Mike Ray slammed it.
Mike Ray's ham was supposed to come with sausage.
Thank you, Tito, for that.
He's the best. He's the best.
We are recording. Tito made sure the light was red. I saw him looking.
It was eyeballing it.
That's his job.
What does Santa's little helpers learn at school?
What?
The alphabet.
Oh, that's good. Do that one.
Yeah?
Start with that one.
You like that one?
I do.
Okay.
That's bad.
I know somebody else who likes it.
I can't stop laughing.
Oh, shit. All right.
You want to do this one?
Sure.
All right.
So who are you saying it to? Me or Mark or?
Say it to me, because I'll take this one.
Ah,
You want it?
Yeah.
Well, let me loop this joke up, and you can
Give it
take
to me. Give it to me, Neil. You got it.
All right.
All right.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Hey, Mark. What is Santa's little helpers? Oh, fuck. Sorry. Go ahead. I'll let you react.
Sorry.
Go ahead. And they're having dinner.
They're having dinner,
yeah.
right? They're having the most boring conversation, and Piggy's trying to sneak in the. Swallow my own spit.
You all right?
Yeah. My own saliva. We can edit that part out, right? People
I
don't
sure
need
hope
to hear
not.
me.
Yeah, that's going to be our
acting.
stinger.
Oh, great.
My own
Do it again.
spit.